It's the Orioles on Masson, and it is a day game against the Angels to round out this three-game set before the Red Sox come to town for the weekend, and the Orioles with a chance for a three-game sweep. Kind of amazing with the Orioles playing as well as they are, leading the American League in series wins with 14, that the only sweep the Orioles have had this year came against the Nationals, and that was just a two-game set. Today, an opportunity to get a three-game sweep against the Angels. Last time that happened, 2010. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Thorne, and welcome. If the ball game today is anything like last night, just sit back and relax. It was well worth the money and more. It was the defensive plays early in the game last night that created lots and lots of highlights. It started early. Very first batter. Machado on Trout in the first inning. That would start. An indication of more to come. Against Hardy, two-run homer denied. Burrows in center field. Davis, line drive, second inning, caught. That would end the inning. And then Harris on Jones. Great play. Wieters, Trumbo goes to the corner. Machado, third inning, 5-4-3 double play. That ended the inning. Markakis on Pujols for the second out, crashing into the wall against Trout for another. It was an unbelievable game of flashing leather, home runs, great pitching. I thought it was baseball at its best, Jim.
It really is, and I guess the irony is the Orioles have the best defense in the American League, and the Angels have made the most errors, and you never would have known it. Even though that one error they did make last night, Borges kind of rushed into on a ball, it kind of set up an inning where the Orioles would add a couple of runs. So the bottom line is, I played on some great teams, Gary, and the reason I had this kind of success is you could trust your defense. This defense the Orioles have put out on the field, it's as good as any defense I ever pitched for, and that's quite a statement. I mean, we had a multitude of Gold Glove winners. So I think you saw it last night because Gonzalez pitched a great game. You talked about the curveball he threw early on that Machado made the great play. He used that curveball in the 7th and 8th inning after putting it in his back pocket for about 5 innings, knowing that his defense are going to make the plays, and that is a wonderful thing if you're a pitcher.
Only 20 errors have been committed by the Orioles. That is the fewest in the league, and their starting pitching is starting to get it together. They really need Jason Hamill, though, to come around even a little bit more, especially Jim here at home.
Well, he does, and that's where he's really struggled. He's gotten a lot of runs all year long, except in his last start. He lost 2-1, pitched actually very well on the road. Got his first loss 2-1 down in Tampa Bay. So the bottom line is he's got to get back to where he was last year. He feels well. The forearm had been a little problem. There's the record we talked about as far as 1-3 with a very high ERA. The one thing, and what we saw in these first two games with the Angels, they've hit some home runs. Trout's hit home runs in each game. They've been solo home runs. So if you're going to give them up, and the Angels have some guys that can hit them, make them solos, get back to sinking the ball. He's got 3 other pitches to go with it, and probably have some success today.
One of the big changes for the Orioles is the fact they are not striking out nearly as much as they did last year, picking up walks. That is also something the starters are doing to the other side. They're not walking many, so they're not creating those opportunities and those situations where you give a base runner away with a free pass.
Well, you're right, and the Orioles don't strike out as much as they used to. The guys aren't walking people, and the one thing about we saw it last night. Chris Davis has been in one of those 0 for 16s. He walked a couple of times, did get an infield base hit. So all of a sudden, all the things that the Orioles didn't used to do, now they're doing it. They're now won 14 out of the last 21 games. They're playing very good baseball.
And their best over 500 so far this season is what they'll have entering into this final matchup against the Angels. Our day game coming up when we return to Camden Yards. to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. And by Ocean City, Maryland. Enjoy free family fun and free events all summer long in Ocean City, Maryland. Visit ococean.com. A summer day here at Camden Yards. Take a look at our train. Game time temperature 85 degrees, partly cloudy, thunderstorms in the forecast for the afternoon. Train celebrating its 100th anniversary by offering irresistible financing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Here's the starting lineup for the Angels, and they have juggled it to get some left-handers in against Hamill. With Trout, Shuck, Pujols, Hamilton's batting cleanup, Kendrick, Callaspo, Hop, Conger, and Ibar. Mike Trout this series, home runs in each of the first 2 games.
And our scouting report on Jason Hamill, 30-year-old right-hander. Well, better at home. He needs to get a little bit better at home. He's been terrific on the road. ERA, we showed you. Over 7 runs a game. Well, how the West was won. Went on that West Coast trip, won 3-0. I mean, the Orioles, not only did he pitched pretty well, but they got him 10 runs, 7 runs, and 8 runs in his 3 wins out there. And then attention and execution. Great thing about pitching the 3rd game, and this could be a chance to sweep, is you get to watch the way they attack your other pitchers. So again, Jason's had a chance to stay on the bench, see who's swinging the bat well for the Angels, and go out there. You pay attention before you get out there, and then you execute your pitches, something that he did so well last year.
Jim, I don't know what's going on here, but Hamill has thrown 2 pitches to the backstop and 1 4 feet out in front of the plate with Teagarden here and warming up.
Well, there you go. Well,
we'll see. I mean, maybe that just was a fluke, but I don't think that was the old Don Larson trick.
No, well,
coming on with Coke bottle glasses and throwing things to the backstop. I mean, here's... Yeah. That was the first one he buried.
Well, maybe he doesn't like somebody standing behind it. Well, there you go. What do they say? One of the most difficult innings for a starter, the first inning, because the mound is different. You see somebody you don't like standing behind home plate, and you try to drill him.
Well, see, he's got an answer to that. Get it over with early. Don't wait for the inning to start.
Yeah.
Just throw stuff all over the place. Then as soon as the batter steps in.
Well, Ryan Duran was that Yankee guy that threw 100 miles per hour, and the first pitch would be up on the backstop, and they'd bounce the next one.
He did have dark glasses that were 8 inches thick. And the pitch will be taken for a ball. We're underway. Our day game here. Here's Trout leading it off. 5-game hit streak for the 21-year-old. He's hitting .303, 2 for 8, both home runs in this series. And that pitch will miss away, and the count goes to 2-0.
Well, he's scored when leading off an inning 50.8% of the time. So you don't want to be behind him, and you are.
Gets that one in, and it's fouled back.
And the 2 home runs, he hit a 1-0 fastball on Monday night down. It's really to right center over the scoreboard, and then Miguel Gonzalez, the only run he gave up last night was a tumbling splitter that he hit about 430 feet to almost straightaway center field. Drilled that one.
Trout is 4 for 10 with a home run lifetime off Hamill. Fouls that pitch away, and Hamill gets back to even up the count at 2 balls and 2 strikes. For Jason Hamill, he had an outing against the Angels. In the when he left, it was 5-4 Orioles. The Orioles won it 8-4. He got the win. 4 runs, 9 hits, 6 innings. He gave up 3 runs in the first inning in that ball game against the Angels. That ball drilled in the air. Jones going back. He's got a bead on it, and he's got it.
Yeah, great jump. Great jump on that ball. A curve ball. Take a look at the outfield. Gold Glovers. McLouth won 1. Jones has won a couple. Markakis playing like a Gold Glover and did win 1. Machado, Hardy, Flaherty, Davis, and then Taylor Teagarden. So Taylor back from the thumb injury. Feels good. Wearing that brace. Had the ligament where the foul ball off the glove, and had to go on the DL and rehab that left thumb.
J.B. Shuck at the plate. Shuck hitting the start in left field in this game. Peter Boros, what do you get for robbing Hardy of a 2-run homer last night? Day on the bench. Shuck, left-handed hitter, though. He is 0 for 4 against Hamill. Shows bunt. Now, the reason we're talking about the lefties, this season left-handers are hitting .293 off Jason Hamill, and the right-handers at .278. The average has jumped way up from last year. Hamill finished the year .234 opponent batting average. This year it's up to .287. That one will miss outside, and a 2-ball, 1-strike count.
Yeah, and the irony of all this is that last year he pitched with the cartilage tear in that right knee, the push-off knee, and threw a lot of grounders, kept the ball in the ballpark, and
bunted foul.
This year, some forearm problems. He said that has settled down. So velocity's been good. Command has been better over the last couple of starts. It was hard, to be honest, to get a read on him because they got him so many runs. It just kind of changes the game. So didn't get a lot in his last start and ended up pitching well, but losing 2-1.
2-2 strikeout on Shuck, and he'll foul that off. Hamill comes in having lost his last 2 starts, the one against Tampa Bay and the one against Detroit. Over the last 5 games, 2 wins, 3 losses in those 5. And against the Angels, the 1-0 record this year, a 1-3 record lifetime. Towards the hole, Flaherty is over and got a glove on it, but couldn't make the play. So Shuck is on with 1 away.
Well, we had so much rain on Monday night, and we've seen outfielders slip around. I mean, this is a field that drains well, but watch the turf come out from under his feet. You can see right where he went to plant that right foot. So when you lose your balance, all of a sudden the ball starts dancing. So it looks like he's going to be in a position to catch it, but right there he starts slipping. Ball hits off the heel of his glove, and Shuck's got himself an infield hit. Very good speed, but he hasn't been able to steal any bases. 0 for 2.
Shuck on at first base, 1 out. Albert Pujols, the DH, going back and forth between first base and DHing this season. He's got a 3-game hit streak, couple of hits in the series, 2 for 7, 1 RBI, and puts a towering foul ball up over the third base side and out of play. So Pujols at 242 on the year, 10 home runs. Still struggling with all the problems he's got with the knee, and that foot can barely run in some games, which is why they get him in the DH role to try and rest him a little bit, not keep him out there at first base. Still has some power against the Orioles. Pujols has only had 3 career home runs, which is pretty amazing. Strike on the outside corner and hitting only 242. Now, a lot of his career, of course, in the National League, but still not a lot of numbers against the Orioles.
Yeah, a guy that you really like to, when you can, pitch around. Maybe not so much this year because of the injuries.
Hamilton is waiting on deck. Hamilton's gone all over this lineup. He's batting second. Now he's batting cleanup. 0-2 delivery, and got one in and up on him that's fouled back, and a 2-strike count on Pujols.
Yeah, you look at the 2 guys in their lineup, and Howie Kendrick, one of their hottest hitters, he's hit into 12 double plays, and Pujols, because he hits the ball hard and because the difficulty with the plantar fascias on the left and the bad right knee, 11 ground ball double plays.
They have hit into a total of 65 ground ball double plays. The Orioles throw over. You compare that to what the O's have done at 45, 20 higher, and boy, that'll take you out of innings.
Yes, it really will. And you know, a normal Angels ball club with Mike Scioscia, the skipper, you can start runners, you have contact guys, you can stay out of those double plays, really put the pressure on the defense. Not so much this year.
Here's the 0-2 delivery, and that pitch will be taken. Wanted the call, didn't get it, and a 1-ball 2-strike count. Shuck still over there at first base.
Well, Andy Fletcher doing the umpiring. I mean, this is a hanging slider. Normally that ball gets waffled, so you want it, especially after he let it go, but that was a very hittable slider. And
Pujols with a 1-ball 2-strike count. Big glare today. Little breeze blowing to left field. That ball's tagged, and it will go foul.
Yeah, so back-to-back sliders. That's the one pitch Jason Hamill was talking about yesterday. He doesn't and hasn't felt very comfortable with. We will show you some numbers about how the fastball average is up, but also the slider just can't quite get on top of it, and when you do, it just flattens out. It's been more hittable this year than in others.
Jason comes in, giving up the 5th most runs for American League pitchers. He is a fly ball pitcher now. Both these guys are. Down to third, Manny Machado. There's one, easy 2. And there's that double play we were talking about. Well, the Orioles D picks up where it left off. Only 3 batters faced. We'll take a look at the lineup for the O's coming up. In day games, the Orioles 14-11, the Angels 12-8, and they are 1-2 in runs scored in day games this year. Take a look at the starting lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines for the Orioles. McLeod, Machado, and Markakis, Jones, Davis, and Hardy, Dickerson, Flaherty, and Teagarden. This series, Markakis bat picking up 3 for 7.
And take a look at our scouting report on Jerome Williams. Well, jack of all trades, more innings in relief early in the year in April than any other pitcher in the major leagues. So he can start. Great pitch, Mitch. I mean, he's got a cutter, he's got a fastball, he's got a changeup. And again, when you face the Orioles, beware of the M's, the M boys. And you got McLeod, Machado, Markakis. Machado with a home run off him in his first start out in Anaheim this year.
And the pitch will be taken by McLeod down low for a ball. Nate has had a 1 for 4. This is his second start in this series. Against Williams, he's had a hit and 2 at bats. Callaspo in at third base. 1-0 delivery, and that will miss down low. McLeod gets ahead 2-0.
Yeah, he'll want that low strike, and we'll see if Andy Fletcher gives it to him. Sinker, cutter, and then the changeup, and tries to pitch at the knees if possible.
2-0 delivery to him. That'll be lifted for a base hit into right field. So Nate McLeod gets the leadoff single.
So beware of the M's. 22 out of 23. Here's the defense. Shuck, Trout, and Hamilton. That's the outfield. Callaspo, who had made 6 errors in 7 games going into the last Sunday. Ibar, Kendrick, Pop, and then Conger, the better of the throwing catchers. Hank, let's see his numbers this year. Not a lot of action, but 4 out of 12 trying to steal bases. You've got to be very aware of that if you're Jerome Williams. A single to Nate McLeod is sometimes a double because of his speed.
Stolen bases with Williams on the mound. 5 out of 6 against him. And Conger with the 4 for 12 throwing him out. So we'll see if McLeod runs early. Williams is going to be concerned, and a terrible move to first base. He sidearmed that ball over, dropped down, and delivered it from below the waist.
Well, you go back to Monday night's game in a downpour with very wet conditions. Nate McLeod in the 6th inning stole a base. Buck Showalter can't believe that he still was able to get the traction and do it.
He was running on mud. Good mutter. Machado waiting. 9-game hit streak for the Oriole third baseman, and the concern begins here about the running game.
And it really does change everything. You come out there, you warm up, you take your 9 warm-up pitches. Mike Scioscia, the skipper of the Angel, knows as a former catcher. So now everybody on edge because of the speed factor.
Orioles second in stolen bases to the Red Sox as a team this year. Runner not going. Machado will take it up high. Manny picking him up with a hit a game against Jerome Williams back in May. 1 for 3, a home run, and 2 RBIs in that ball game. Manny Machado's first effort against Williams successful. Here in this series, the 2 for 8, 1 RBI hit in each game. And the pitch will be taken inside, and Williams has fallen behind both hitters 2-0.
Yeah, he wanted that pitch, a little cutter that he started off the plate. I'm not sure he did it on purpose, but I think he thought it hit the inside corner.
Williams last year was both the starter and reliever, split things up. He went 6 and 8. He had 15 starts in 32 games, and he's doing much the same this season, as he's out there for his 7th start and his 17th game. He pitched 3 innings in his last outing on Saturday in the second game of the doubleheader against Boston, giving up 3 runs, 5 hits with 3 strikeouts against the Red Sox. 2-0 count. McLeod. There he goes. Machado. There's the base hit. They weren't playing him that way. McLeod coming over to third. Bobby Dickerson will hold him up. Throw's going to come to second. Not in time. A 2-bagger for Machado. Shuck was playing way over towards center field and had a long way to go.
Yeah, it's another cutter, and you can see it kind of cut right back the middle of the plate, and he's all over it. And he just hooks it to right here, running. Doesn't know where the ball is. Now he picks it up, and he's easily. Better get to third because Manny wasn't hesitating. I mean, this is right here. He knew where they were playing. I mean, that's one of the things you always say when you're a base runner. But hitters have to know where they're playing it. So he knew that he had a chance to get a double, and does.
And for Machado, a league leading 28 doubles on the year, and the Orioles get a chance to strike early. Here's Markakis. Roller. Runner is coming. They've got to hustle to get the out at first. Williams gets over. An RBI for Markakis, scoring McLeod, and the Orioles get the 1-0 lead.
Yeah, Brad Hopp was thinking maybe I have a play at home, but boy, you don't want to have a big inning. So Nick just trying to get the run in, at least.
And he does, and the Orioles go on top. Markakis now with 38 RBIs on the season. He's been picking those up with some regularity here in this homestand. And here's Adam Jones with a runner at third base and one away. Adam has had a homer in this series. His lone hit, 1 for 7, but 3 RBIs, the other coming on a sacrifice fly.
And they play the infield back. 1 down. Yeah.
And Williams gets the strike on him.
Well, Jonesy's having one of those. He's got a couple of home runs. Hit one on Sunday, one on Monday, but 8 for 40 in June. And you know, every time I see Adam, when he starts chasing, it's all about bat head awareness. Point A is the bat head, point B is the ball. Sometimes you have a tendency to overswing.
0-1 delivery on the way, outside for a ball. You look at some of the numbers for the Orioles in June, and you marvel that they've been able to continue winning. You've got Chris Davis hitting .231 with 1 home run. Jones hitting .200 with 2 home runs. Machado .225. Markakis .194. McLeod .226. And that hit him in the batter's box. Their leaders have picking up. There's been J.J. Hardy hitting .432 this month. And Flaherty has done a good job for the Orioles in June, hitting .280 on the month. So the Orioles have had Pierce at .417, limited at bats. But you got a number of the big bats in the lineup who have struggled this month, yet the Orioles win. That one hurt.
Yeah, Brian Ebel out, assistant Oriole trainer for many, many years. That ball right off the left shin. It's just scary. They're starting to win the 1-run game, something as we pointed out last night, and anybody who watched Oriole baseball, 29 of them last year, and then they're all starting to win those 4-3 games, 3-2, 3-1. So the pitching has gotten better. Boy, it does take a lot of pressure off the offense. You know, you have a great changeup. Miguel Gonzalez now back-to-back great starts.
Wife waiting, no baby.
The 19th, he was saying.
It's a baby girl, and they're ready. She's not. I told Miguel last night, she wins.
And she's in California.
So they're anxiously awaiting. Adam will stand back in, a 1-ball, 2-strike count. Runner at third base, 1 down. Machado, the base runner. Infield stays back. And Adam on the roller with a runner coming. Ibar will make the play over to first base. Nice pick made by Hopp. RBI for Jones. The Orioles have a 2-0 lead.
Well, there you go. You don't overswing. You make a nice adjustment. The infield's back. You don't have to even hit a fly ball.
2-0 lead. Clears the bases. Davis coming up in the clutch this season for the Orioles. That .285 batting average as a team is 3rd best in the league. .255 with 2 outs is 6th best. Chris Davis right at the top, .379. .321 with 2 out. Manny Machado .364 and .370 when there are 2 down. They've been the leaders for the Orioles clutch hitting this season. Davis here, and at bat we can just swing away. League's leader in home runs. Infield pulled over on him. Pitch will be taken away for a ball. He is 1 for 5 against the 31-year-old Jerome Williams. Chris still leads the league in homers with 20. Encarnacion now has moved up with 18 to tie Cabrera for 2nd in the league. Chris is 2nd in average to Cabrera. Cabrera's hitting .363, Davis .335, and Chris is 3rd in RBIs with 52. Encarnacion has moved into the 2nd spot behind Cabrera.
And we'll see if Buck Showalter gives him the green light. You've got one of the hottest hitters in the American League waiting on deck.
Let him swing. 3-0 delivery coming from Williams, and he did, and he fouls it away. For Williams, it's been the home runs that have bothered a bit. 5 of them surrendered. The average against him is pretty good, .223, all the way down from .263 last year. And left-handers .209, right-handers .236. Not a big split. 3-1 delivery, and Davis unable to catch up with that one. That was dropped in the inside corner. 3-2.
I mean, Jerome Williams, I saw him when he came up with San Francisco, and I'm saying, well, here's a young pitcher. 91 to 93 back then. That pitch at 92 had a nice little slider. So he's been around, but he does know how to pitch.
3-2 delivery, hit high in deep center field. Back, Trout at the wall, and he's got it. Davis retired, but the Orioles get a couple of runs. They do it on 2 hits. Markakis and Jones get the RBIs. Mass and Orioles before June 16. Submit a video challenging Adam to any competition of your choice. Adam's going to pick his favorites. The public will vote to decide who wins. Adam Jones Fan Challenge presented by Care First, encouraging each of us to take that first step towards a healthier lifestyle. But I really wanted the outtakes on the videos not selected, because I have a feeling there are going to be some good ones.
So what, that like rappelling, skydiving?
Those would be okay.
No, but I'm just saying things like that.
Yes. Yes. Chess games, checkers.
And then Adam picks it.
And then the fans get to vote on the ones he picks.
Oh, okay. But then he doesn't actually get to.
Oh, yes. That ball drilled to center. Speaking of Adam.
Yeah, well, there you go. An Adam ball.
Adam. And Hamilton is retired.
That's what we used to say. Well, other than the Adam ball for a double play, when we saw that over a couple of line drives to first basemen in this series, the Adam ball is right Adam. Right Adam, in this case, right Adam.
One away, and that'll bring up Kendrick. Howie Kendrick, 2 for 7 in the series. Good numbers against Hamill. He has picked up 6 hits and 10 at-bats against him. Hamill will get that on the inside corner for a strike.
Yeah, I used to get a 2-run lead early, and you go, you know what? I got him unless I give up 3. I mean, it's something you build on. It doesn't mean you relax. You just make your pitches. Grip pressure, certainly not very hot. If you watch Kendrick, they were able to pitch him well the first night. He came in about as hot as anybody. I mean, he's 17 for 38 in June. Came in at 12 for 20. A couple of soft singles into right field last night, and those are the kind of hits, unless somebody's on, doesn't hurt you.
Kendrick with an 0-2 count. And he'll take the pitch outside for a ball.
So take a look at our Jeep inside the numbers. How do you actually get the kind of hits he has? 80 of them this year, 55 fastballs. He can hit the breaking ball. Doesn't see as many. 18 off of breaking ball, 7 on the changeup.
14 for his last 28. Kendrick will foul that one away. He's hitting .390 with 14 multi-hit games since May 14. And that .390 clip during that time is the second highest in the majors.
Yeah, he just lets the ball travel. If you pitch him away, he'll hit it into right field, center field. And if you speed up the bat with a breaking ball, or if you get behind, that's when he becomes dangerous as far as hitting home runs.
1-2, and he had one he tried to jump on, fouls it right back into the screen. These Angels, we talked about the Orioles winning the one-run games. The Angels are not. They are 10-14 in one-run ball games. Mike Scioscia's team has played more one-run games than any team in the majors. And even worse than that, they're 12-19 in games decided by 1 or 2 runs. That ball popped up, that high glare, glasses down. Flaherty the angle, and the catch.
Yeah. Nice communication. Not an easy play because Nick's coming as hard, talking about Markakis in right. It is glary. And what you do if you're an infielder, go as hard as you can. You can see him put the glasses down, and now he's trying to find it. And at the last minute, Nick realizes that Ryan Flaherty is going to haul it in, and he does. Superlative defense from Ryan Flaherty at second base.
And Flaherty's really settled in now. The Orioles tried to find someone with maybe giving up a little defense in return for a bat at second base. It didn't work. So Flaherty's there, and he's playing on a regular basis now. Brian Roberts is here with the ball club, taking some batting practice with the club, getting ready to go on rehab. They're not setting any time limits on that, but for right now, it's Flaherty at second base. Ball punched down the line, and foul, and a 2-strike count on Alberto Calespo.
He's become the Mark Belanger of the Orioles. You know, Mark won 8 Gold Gloves. And when he got a hit, everybody cheered. Everybody was happy. But his job was just to pick it at shortstop, and that's what Ryan has done at second base.
That ball popped straight up in the air. Where is it? Hamill's pointing up. Everybody else looking, and fortunately Davis found it because Machado, Hardy, and Hamill had no idea where that ball was. A 1-2-3 clean inning for Hamill. Dining, the ultimate triple play at Hollywood Casino with Charlestown Races. Updated to the minute. Most runs scored first 3 innings.
Yep, well, the Red Sox can do that. Last night, of course, Tampa Bay did a number on the Red Sox. Lester, after they used 7 relievers in that 14 innings game, Lester gives up 7 runs, 8 hits, 7 base on balls. Doesn't even go 5. And so we'll see the Red Sox for the next 4 days coming in.
The Orioles and Red Sox kick it off with 2 night games Thursday and Friday at 7 o'clock, Saturday 4 o'clock, Sunday 1:30. Kevin Gausman against Felix Dubron, Chris Tillman against Ryan Dempster. It'll be Freddie Garcia against John Lackey, and Miguel Gonzalez will pitch the 4th game on Sunday. Probably Buchholz, but they're going to wait for a day or 2 before they make the decision.
Yeah, he's going to throw on Friday, do his side, and then we'll see with the neck problems. Kevin Gausman, that'll be a nice little challenge against a team with the best offense so far in the American League.
Scooped up as Hardy leads it off. Hardy with a 1 for 7. He could easily claim it should be a 3 for 7 with a home run and probably 3 or 4 RBIs. Here's the 1-2 delivery on the way. JJ's wondering why me. 1 game. Here's a 2-run homer. Oops. Peter Bourgeois pulls it in with a tremendous catch, and then a fan makes a catch. Trout got credit for the out, the fan reaching over. Both of those came off J.J. Hardy, whose new book, Why Me? There's a Baltimore chop and a base hit for Hardy. That's how you get them. They won't go out over 410, then just hit it over the mound.
What was that little poem on Buck Showalter's office? Willie Keeler runs through the streets of Baltimore down Charles Street. Well, here's your Baltimore chop. So take that, Peter Borges. Try to rob me of that one. Well, you're on the bench today. He gets a left turn on here, and Jerome Williams is going, is it going to be that one of those afternoons? We told you Cayaspo has really struggled defensively. He says, I'm not going to pick it up and throw it. I'll just won't catch it, and maybe things will be better.
So the Orioles pick up a leadoff single. Both innings leadoff man on. Williams retiring 69% of leadoff batters on the season, but not getting either of the first two. Here is Dickerson. Chris Dickerson will put that in the air, and these are going to be an adventure with this sun. Ibar shading his eyes, has to come back in, puts it away, and Dickerson is retired. Maryland Lottery hit a big contestant of the game is James Miles Wilson from Glen Burnie. James has already won $500 for being selected. You get $100 more for every Orioles hit today, and an extra $500 for any Orioles home run in the fifth inning. For your chance to be the Maryland Lottery hit a big contestant of the game, play 5-card cash. Go to mdlottery.com/Orioles to enter. So JMW, good luck. Here's Flaherty. 2 for 6 in the series. Cayaspo on the grass at third. Infield shifted over. And another one put up in the air. Shortstop again. Ibar the angle.
Yeah.
And
the hand
does see it, but not too well.
Well, you try to get the ball out of the sun. And there are some clouds. We saw a pop fly last night that in the twilight that Matt Wieters, the Oriole catcher, didn't see. It fell in play. So one of those days, not like Anaheim or Oakland, San Francisco, one of those California high skies where nobody sees the ball.
Angels are heading back to those California high skies. They'll have their longest homestand of the season coming up. The Yankees will be their next opponent. One of the reasons for the early game today. Here is Teagarden, Taylor Teagarden, back to the Orioles. Runner at first base, 2 down, and Teagarden will take it for a strike. Taylor wants to get rid of the offer that he is in right now. 0 for 17. Recalled from the DL on the 5th of June against Houston. Had an 0 for 4 on the 6th of June. 0-1 delivery to him, and Teagarden on the swing and a miss. Conger looking down the first, does not throw.
Yeah, it seemed like last year Taylor did not really hit well. He's there because when Matt Wieters is not catching, you want somebody that can throw pretty well, and he does that, can call a good game, understands how important a back role is as a catcher, and hopes to get something in the middle of the plate. He can maybe hit a double.
0-2 delivery to him, and that's on the outside corner, and Williams gets his first strikeout. So the Orioles, no runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on, 2 complete. And our day game in the Orioles help. bank for the achiever in you. And by Antwerpen Toyota. When Jack says yes, you pay less at Antwerpen Toyota in Howard County Auto Park. Visit AntwerpenToyota.com today. Gary Thorne and Jim Palmer here at Camden Yards. Make sure when you come to the ballpark, you go out there to Legends Park outside the center field fence and take a look at the Great Six retirement monuments, and make sure you put lotion on and bring a hat if you're coming to a day game. Here's Brad Hopp, will lead it off, bottom third of the order, and Hopp will take it outside for a ball. Hopp getting the start at first base in this game. Another left-hander in the lineup. He is 0 for 2 off Hamill.
And the former teammates with the Rockies. He certainly knows that Brad's got some power. He's got a long swing. Usually tells me they like the ball out over the plate. Don't want to get behind, but he can look for his stuff. You can see his lifetime numbers on a lot of games.
1-1 delivery by Hamill. Went after the pitch high in the strike zone and couldn't catch up to it. 1-2.
Yeah, the arm speed changes him. It's not really where you want to throw the changeup, but gets away with it. And he lets everybody know that he will throw it as a curveball and slider along with a fastball.
1-2 delivery. Just jangled that one foul. Only other day game today in the American League. Detroit playing at Kansas City. Rest tonight, including Boston, concluding their long set against Tampa with a night game tonight, and then the Red Sox flying to Baltimore to open up tomorrow night. 1-2 delivery, and he couldn't wait long enough. Foul tipped it into the mitt.
Yeah, down at AAA Salt Lake, so they call him up because they want a left-handed bat. So a high changeup, high curveball, but when you don't play a lot, and you can talk all you want about shortening your swing, it's hard to do when you're not playing every day. And he just misses it.
That'll bring up Hank Conger. Conger, the 25-year-old switch-hitting catcher. And the delivery taken inside for a ball. Spent most of the year at AAA last year. Conger ended up in just 7 games with the Angels. Coming into this season, only 79 major league games played.
Yeah, well, he gets very quick when you get into these counts. We saw him hit some balls hard in that 4-game series when he had a chance to play out in Anaheim.
Conger with a 1 for 3 off Hamill. Infield shift is on against him. 2-0 delivery, and Conger rips it. It's in the air to right field, and it's out of this yard.
Oh,
goodbye, home run, and it goes one hop over to the warehouse, and Conger gets the Angels on the board 2-1.
Yep, you can't be in the middle of the plate if you've seen Hank Conger swing. And you know, he's a switch hitter. He's now 3 of his 4 home runs are from the left side. And he's a good fastball hitter, and he's even a better one when he thinks it's coming. So here's your Nissan pitch track. And boy, I mean, this is, watch him bludgeon this ball. Watch the follow through. I mean, it's everything I have, and then he staggers. A little Charlie Lau with the top hand off the bat to give you full extension.
4th home run, 9 RBIs for him. And a swing and a miss by Ibar. Conger getting his 2nd career home run against the Orioles. And for Hamill, that'll be home run number 13 that he has surrendered. 8 of those have been hit by left-handers. 0-1 delivery. Ibar with a couple of cuts at pitches he'd like to have back. He's 1 for 7 in the series. Ibar hitting at .257.
Yeah, only 9 home runs in 118 innings for Jason Hamill last year.
0-2 delivery, and that'll be fouled off. Home run rate up, fly ball rate up, as we said, from a ground ball to a fly ball pitcher. And here at Camden Yards, that's dangerous if you do not keep the ball in the middle of the field.
Well, that's why that inflated ERA of over 7 runs a game. So all the home runs the Angels have hit so far in the series are solo shots.
0-2 taken inside in the dirt on the breaking ball. It'll go to 1-2. Ibar hitting .225 in the month of June. Has not had a home run this month in the 40 at bats. 1-2 delivery, and that's up high.
I think the one thing that when you're not commanding a fastball as much as you'd like, that you really have to force yourself to throw that changeup. It's his 4th pitch, but he does have one. We've seen Chris Tillman do that. Threw 3 in a row the other night.
And again, just chops it right out of the mid of Teagarden.
So not only is the pitch effective, but what it does is it sends a message to the opposition that you'll throw something other than a fastball and a fastball count, and that is one of the keys to being able to pitch.
2-2. 1 down, base is empty, and boy, these are some weird swings.
Well, that's another good changeup. So
he's just barely hacking at it.
So here's our chief keys to what's going on. We told you about the less effective fastball, and a lot of it has to do with the fact last year Rick Adair rediscovered, the Oriole pitching coach, the two-seamer really worked well. This year it's been a little bit more of a struggle for him.
Ibar again fights it off.
Well, I think our keys to the game was attention and then execution. And if you're Jason Hamill, you've seen that Eric Ibar has been on fastball, so he's trying to get him out with something other than that.
Hamill making his 14th start of the year, 6 of them here at home. And Ibar just battling to find one he can actually get the barrel on. 2-ball, 2-strike delivery. And again, fights it off. So Ibar making him work here in this number 9 hole. Ibar's 1 for 9. Lifetime off Jason Hamill.
And that is part of the formula today for both teams, is to make the opposing pitcher, whether closing in on 90 degrees, and it's not one of those really oppressive days. But
here's the 10th pitch of the at bat on the 2-2, fouled away again. This number 9 spot, like the number 2 spot we were talking about in the lineup, the traditions are changing. The number 9 hitter used to be perhaps your least effective offensive weapon in a ball game. Now the number 9 spot is viewed by managers more and more as a second leadoff man. Try and get somebody down there who's got some speed, who can get on base, who can turn the order over to get to the top of the lineup. 2-2, that's inside, and that's going to be a full count, 3-2. For Mike Scioscia, Ibar is one of those guys. Ibar could be a leadoff batter.
Yeah, and on a normal year, Gary, he last year he stole 20 out of 24. This year he had some ankle problems, so only 1 out of 4. So what are you going to get Trout to hit if he's on first base? Fastballs.
3-2. There's a quality at bat right there. A dozen pitches, and finally got one that he could hit, barreled it up to right field for a single.
And I mean, that's such a great way of describing it, because he fouled off the good breaking balls and changeups, and then 3-2 got a hanger. And that's what he forces to do. You don't want to walk him with Mike Trout coming up. He's about as hot as anybody on this ball club. Almost 350 in the month of June. Had gone 71 at bats without a home run till Monday night. And if you've watched the games, he's already hit 2 home runs straight away, right field. So now all of a sudden you got a chance, if you're the Angels, to get something going with your best hitter at the plate.
Trout hit it hard his first time up. He flied out to center field. Each team with 3 hits. He had no intention of swinging at that first pitch, and he took it inside. Trout is second in runs scored in the league behind Cabrera. You've got Cabrera first, Trout second, Chris Davis is third, Jones is fourth, and Machado eighth in runs scored in the American League. 1-0 count. Off first base, Ibar not going. Ball will be put up in the air and fouled out of play.
Well, the 2 big names when young players, Bryce Harper, a year younger than Mike Trout. Trout at age 20 last year had as good a year as you can possibly have, with the 30 home runs and 129 runs scored, over 300 with a batting average, 49 steals. One of the most dynamic players in the game, with no doubt about it.
38 extra base hits. He's second only to the Orioles' Chris Davis in extra base hits. 1-1 down the line. There's 1, there's 2. Repeat. Instant replay from last night. Another liner with a runner at first base. Davis gets it, steps on the bag. A run in. Conger got the home run, making it a 2-1 ball game. First 9 starts 6-0, last 5 0-3 with a 6.9 ERA. A couple of seasons already on for him. Clay Buchholz feeling improvement. That sore neck could start Sunday against the Orioles. They haven't announced that yet. Will Middlebrook struggling a bit, coming back into the lineup, hitting .199, 8 home runs, 22 RBIs. And Iglesias actually got the start at third base with Drew playing it short. And so Middlebrook's a bit of a struggle, but he'll pick it back up again. Too good a player to be hitting that for long. That ball's going to go into left center field, and Nate McLeod is 2 for 2. Went right after the first pitch, and another single. The latest voting numbers announced last weekend for the 13 All-Star game. Chris Davis, J.J. Hardy, Adam Jones, all in a position to start. Manny Machado, Matt Wieters, Nick Markakis, Nate McLeod, all close. You can vote up to 35 times. Orioles.com/voteorange today. So the Orioles McLeod, and here's Machado. They got it off in the first inning with a single and a double, and both would end up scoring. And the RBIs by Markakis and Jones on ground ball outs. Williams kept an eye on McLeod the first time, and he's going to do it again here.
Yeah, well, the one thing, if you look at Nate McLeod, he does sometimes, he's a lot like Brian Roberts when Brian was steering 30 to 50 bases, where he won't get a big lead. So when you look over, you go, oh, okay. But what he does do is he gets one of those running leads, and that's what you want to do. When you have somebody, you have to understand 22 out of the last 23, 34 out of the last 36 for Nate McLeod when it comes to stealing bases. You want to make him stop. So you can hold the ball, you can throw over, you can slide step. Now that lead's getting a little bit bigger.
Runner not going here. Bunting, this is for a base hit, and it is a foul ball. Conger going over to get it.
Yeah, you know that he's going to pounce on it because he's still got the adrenaline rush from bouncing one to the warehouse.
They got Callaspo down at third, who is not in. He had drawn in a little bit by the bag, but not way in. And so Machado thought he had a chance for a bunt base hit on that grass and just missed getting it fair.
Well, that's what you like about Manny Machado. He'll hit the ball the other way. It almost comes natural with him. You know, a lot of 20-year-old kids that hit a couple of home runs, and that's what they want to do. But he's been able to maintain his spring training swing, which is up the middle, use the whole field. If you hang a breaking ball or get behind, he can turn on one.
Here's the 0-1 delivery to him. It's a pitch out, runner not going. Mike Scioscia calling for it. McLeod not going, and a 1-ball 1-strike count. Manny Machado tomorrow night's going to try to equal his high in a hit streak. He's with the double he got in the first inning. He's now hit in 10, and his career long hit streak 11, which was this year, April and the 1st of May. 1-ball 1-strike count still, and Williams having to deal with Nate McLeod, is getting off there just enough to draw the throws.
Well, it does disrupt your timing. You know, all spring you work on the slide step, trying to make good pitches to home plate, but still speeding up your windup. And problem with a guy like McLeod, once he gets on, it becomes a double or a triple because of his speed.
1-1 delivery to him, and a nasty pitch that he had no chance at, but couldn't hold up on the swing 1 and 2. The Williams just got him going after one that went the other way.
Well, watch this ball run. Just a 2-seam fastball. You can see that side-to-side spin, so Manny thinks it's going to be on the plate, and it just keeps running in. Good news is he didn't hit it.
1-2 the count. McLeod off first, nobody out. Orioles up 2-1. And a step off. For McLeod now, the 19 consecutive, third longest in Orioles history. Brady Anderson had a streak of 36 consecutive. Louis Aparicio a streak of 21. And McLeod now at 19 consecutive stolen bases. 1-ball 2-strike count. Machado again. Williams comes inside. This time though he misses. 2-2.
Well, he really read that pitch. Got fooled on the one before. It's the one thing that I've noticed. If you're a former pitcher, you sit on the bench, or even when you're on the mound, you want to know how they react to your stuff. He really does make in-at-bat adjustments as well as any young player I've seen.
2-ball 2-strike count. McLeod leaning. Jacoby Ellsbury's got 27 stolen bases. So tomorrow night we'll see the number 1 and 2 base stealers in the American League play. Ellsbury and McLouth.
No, what, a week before, or maybe 10 days ago, he stole, talking about Jacoby, 10-5 in a game, and had to sit out 3 games.
2-2, runner not going. Hit in the air to center, not deep. Trout went the wrong way. Nice play made. Kendrick back to first, not in time, knocked down by Hop. A real fine defensive play for Howie Kendrick.
Yeah, slowly becoming one of the better defensive players in the American League. An illustration. This is a little Derek Jeter. Jeter at shortstop does this so well. Otherwise, it's going to be a base hit. Trout playing deep. They play a little deeper because of how small Camden Yards is. He takes away a base hit.
So Nick Markakis will stand in with McLouth on. Nick got the RBI and a ground ball out. He is 4 for 9. Lifetime off Jerome Williams. And Markakis with a runner at first has that hole between first and second base. Williams delivery to him, and that'll be outside for a ball. Time for our AT&T mobility trivia fact. Nick Markakis recorded his 11th go-ahead RBI last night in the Orioles win, and the O's now have 4 players with 10-plus go-ahead ribbies. Jones, Markakis, Davis, and Manny Machado.
Yeah, Adam leading the pack with 12.
Almost threw it away. Hop had to scoop it up. A lot of throws over here in the first 3 innings.
One afternoon game in Milwaukee. Tommy Harper, who stole 72 that year. IW, and I threw over 8 times, and he stole in the 9th time. I thought I got him tired. All he did was got the fans booing me and all that stuff. It didn't matter.
Tired you out, didn't
he? He did.
There goes McLouth. Pitch is taken. Throw down Conger. Not in time. Nowhere near. And he got him. He came off the bag. He had it stolen, but he went over the bag, and that'll bring Buck Showalter out as the second base umpire, Joe West, the crew chief, called him out.
Yeah, Nate trying to reason with him, and here comes Buck. I mean, it was a strong throw, and the thing about a veteran shortstop is that he gets a great jump, straight steal, obviously. So right there. And he tagged him. Well, he tagged him about 3 times. It's on, it's on, it's on, it's on, it's on. And I don't know if he ever. I don't think that he even lost. And then Joe West is blocked. Watch Joe come around. So here's your ongoing tag. So he's trying to tag him. Now he stumbles a little bit. He hasn't tagged him, and Joe West is going to come around, and I don't think he had a very good view of it.
There are a couple of things Buck's arguing. It's pretty heated out there. One arguing about whether or not he actually obviously had taken his foot off the bag.
But how did Joe West see over his shoulder through his body?
So McLouth out at second base, and the Orioles now with 2 down and nobody on. Keep applying the tag.
Yeah, well,
is the rule until somebody calls for timeout. And that's something fans take, because it happens so quickly nowadays. You see players on a play like that will hold their hand up as soon as possible, say timeout, timeout, and the umpire will generally grant it. But the play's ongoing. I mean, just because you got the second ahead of the throw doesn't mean it's done. So until the timeout officially is called by the umpire, ball's in play, and you got to stay on the base.
So does that end the 19 stolen base streak?
Got to check on that.
Or was he safe and then they called him out when he came off the bag?
Well, the rule used to be it's a continuation play,
right,
and you'd be called out caught stealing, but we'll check to be sure. 3-1 delivery on the way. Markakis will deliver a base hit into right field. So Nick with a 4-game hit streak as he picks up the single with 2 down and nobody on. Williams asking for the new baseball as Markakis continues to get hits in this series. He's now 4 for 9, picking up his numbers against the Angels this season. Came in hitting .250 against them. And Adam Jones. So the Orioles have had 2 hits in the inning and 1 fine defensive play which denied Machado a base hit. Yet there are 2 down, no runs in, and 1 on. Jones, RBI ground ball out his last time up, will take the pitch inside for a ball. Adam has moved up among the leaders in RBIs. He is 8th now in the American League with 43. 32 extra base hits. He is 6th in the league in that department. Here's the 1-0 delivery. And the big swing.
There's a cut fastball. Just a little bit of movement.
The Orioles have, against right-handed hitters, put up big numbers. Chris Davis, the leader in the league against righties. Manny Machado is 3rd and Jones is 9th. Big numbers against right-handers. Another good sign for the Orioles last night in getting the win. Another 1-run win. They beat a left-handed starter. Foul back into the screen and a 1-ball 2-strike count.
Some nice numbers against righties. 9 of the 13 home runs.
Clouth over there on the bench, you see, after he had a discussion with Joe West before leaving about the call. Here's the 1-2 delivery, and Jones again will foul that one away.
Yeah, the more you know Nate McLouth, and we had a chance since came in, called up in late July, is that he's got a lot of intensity, but it's controlled. And you see it the way he's realizes how hitting can be a lot less difficult when you make him throw strikes, and his base running, and terrific addition for the Orioles. Dan Duquette, standing ovation on that acquisition.
1-ball 2-strike count on Jones. Markakis off first base. By the way, that was a caught stealing. 2-6 on the putout on McLouth, a continuation play, so only the second time he's been caught this season. So Nate now 22 out of 24, and it will end his streak at 19 consecutive stolen bases. 1-2 the count. Jones trying to line one up off Williams, and he'll foul that one back. He's getting his cuts in. He's ripping here in this at bat.
Well, Jerome Williams with the count 1-2 is trying to figure, how can I get him out? And you stand out on the mound, sometimes you're going, okay, I'm trying to read the bat. I know he loves the ball out over the plate. Where can I go where I can get him out? Where can I go where it stays in the ballpark? And sometimes you're going, I'm not sure I know where that is.
Let me try this.
Yeah. That's when you do the desperation heave.
1-2 the count. Again, Jones, and a half swing this time, second base. Kendrick will go to first. And that will retire the side. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left, 3 complete. Orioles have a 2-1 lead. Miller time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Chris Davis may well be a part of that later in the game. Yesterday, first base double play. coming off the bag with a runner on. Jim and I were saying between innings, both these situations, it's a double down the line, but for him holding the bag at first with that great glove, he hauls it in. He is second in fielding among first basemen in the American League, leading to the inevitable, obvious question of the answer is Justin Morneau.
Could be, and then Ryan Flaherty did the same thing. There have been 3 balls hit right at first baseman. I think Pujols was the one that snagged it. I was talking to Terry Crowley, who's still a consultant. He said, "Tell Flaherty not to hit it to the first baseman with somebody on." So that's when you know. That's when you know the crow's paying attention. That's what the hitting instructor you want. Hit it somewhere else, which he did later on.
Back to Wee Willie.
Yeah,
hit him where they ain't. 1-0 delivery is bunted, and that will be foul as the number 2 hitter. J.B. Shuck singled his first time up. Shuck, Pujols, and Hamilton due up for the Angels. The Orioles concluding this series, third of the way through it in this game. Orioles 2-5-0. The Angels 1-3-0. The Angels have left nobody on. The Orioles 3. Slow roller. Hardy. Shuck can run, but he got him.
Well, the internal clock. Jason Hamel, wise decision. He tucked his hand back, ball hit very softly, but if you're going to try to barehand it, and then the internal clock, you know you have to hurry. You're a step in closer anyway. And there it is, little pool cue. So here comes JJ to come get it. Boy, quick transfer.
So he gets the out as usual. Here's Albert Pujols hit into a double play. His first time up. And Pujols will take it for a strike. 2 teams, big lineups, lots of offense. Orioles clearly have gotten that offense done this year. The Angels have not, but still powerful lineup. What has the series been like this season? All pitching and defense. Coming into this ball game today, the Angels were hitting .239 against the Orioles. The Orioles were hitting .219. That ball is fouled back. The runs have been almost equal. The Orioles have been able to outscore 25-18 coming in. Home runs only a 1 differential. The difference has been the ERA, as the Orioles ERA against the Angels is 3 and the Angels ERA is 4. But boy, not much difference. Pujols up in the air to left field. And Klaus right there, and he's got it. So that will retire Pujols, and there are 2 down. Celebrate the summer here at Oriole Park by picking up the Birdland Summer 6-pack. You get a ticket to 6 games of your choice, including 2 against either Yankees or Red Sox. One low price. You get non-prime prices and primetime games. Lock in your seats. 888-848-BIRD or go to Orioles.com. 2 down, nobody on. Here's Hamilton, who flied out his first time up. Little floater that slipped away.
Yeah, you look at their runs scored at 4.4 and then their ERA at 4.39, yet they've given up 307 runs and only scored 283. So that run differential in the minus for the Angels. Hard to believe, though, that this offense can't get more than 4.4 runs a game. I mean, the league average in the ERA, at least the average ERA, so you can throw it up, is 4.08.
She got real problems with Pujols and Hamilton, who are supposed to be the keys to the middle, and they're not just the guys in a slump kind of problem. I mean, Pujols, you got to wonder about how much he can continue to play with all the injuries. And Hamilton, is he ever going to be the player that he was?
Well, they sure hope so.
2-1 delivery is swung out and missed. Real good delivery on the arm action. 2-2.
Yeah. You're never going to get Albert Pujols to tell you that he wishes it was the offseason so he could start rehabbing the injuries. But for Hamilton, he's been able to stay healthy.
2-2. That's going to go to center field. That'll fall in for a base hit. Center fielders, outfielders, really having trouble reading the ball off the bat today with this glare and with a big swing. Well, Adam actually started back on that ball a little bit and then realized it was going to be way in front of him.
And then the other factor, day games, boy, a lot of times outfielders will tell you the ball off the bat hard to see because of the background. You know, it's not like you have the hitter's background. You got people wearing white and all kinds of different colors.
So a base hit with 2 down will bring up Howie Kendrick. Kendrick popped out his first time up. Kendrick will take it up high for a ball. Hamill has walked none, struck out 1. Jerome Williams has walked none, struck out 1. Orioles out hitting the Angels 5-4 at the moment. Orioles are 5-1 against the Angels on the season, while the Angels will conclude a road trip. They right now are 1-4 on it. That ball smacked in the air to right center field, heading to the gap. Jones going over. It'll take a hop, come off the top of the wall. Markakis will back it up. Hamilton will score. Ball game is tied. A double for Kendrick. 2-2.
Well, that's what he does. You pitch him away, he's going to go that way. And they replaced the warning track here from rubber to cinder. This is where you hoped that if you had had the rubberizer, it would have bounced up into the seats. So there's your fastball outside middle. Look at the approach inside, but it's in the middle of the plate, so he gets a little bit better wood. Nice backup by Nick Markakis, but Hamilton can run.
Kendrick's 33rd RBI, and he's at second base with his 9th double of the year. Now that one to right field. Nick Markakis will haul it in. Cayespo is retired. A run in, 2 hits, no errors, 1 left. Going to the bottom of the 4th in a tie 2-2 game. First time in their franchise history doing it against Boston. They won 1, lost 1. Max Scherzer with Detroit this season, 9-0, 3.19 ERA in 13 starts. Last American League pitcher to do that, Roger Clemens, in 1986 when he started 12-0. And the Cardinals, 3 through 6 hitters last night, 9 for 18. They are hitting 308 hitters in those spots this year, the best in the majors. Primarily Matt Holliday, Alan Craig, Matt Adams, and David Freese filling those spots.
And that is why they have the most wins in the major leagues with 42. 2 more than the Red Sox.
Talking to one of their lead scouts, just saying one of the most balanced teams that he's seen with the Cardinals in a long time. And Yardia Molina leading the National League in average, having an extraordinary year. Tony La Russa during the World Baseball Classic with Molina doing the catching for the Dominican Republic team would not stop talking about Molina's importance to that team. Deep center field, off the bat, he knew it, and he was right. Goodbye, home run! Chris Davis delivers the homer and gives the Orioles a 3-2 lead.
Now about a half an hour extra hitting today off the tee for Chris Davis. Nobody on the Orioles' 21st home run of the year can hit the big fly better than Chris Davis.
Williams gives up his 6th home run, only the 2nd to a left-hander, and Davis launched it.
Yeah, that's what he does. Doesn't matter what part of the park. Very much like their center fielder Mike Trout, go out anywhere.
So Chris gets his 21st homer and his 53rd RBI.
Well, you can see pretty much in the middle. Watch him stay behind it. Boy, a low fastball to a low fastball hitter, a lefty, can get you in trouble.
Hardy with a big cut fouls it back.
Well, you cannot teach that kind of strength. You can refine it, which is what they did yesterday.
So the Orioles get the lead right back. Hardy up the middle. Look what I found. Williams makes the play with a backhand stop.
Well, he wears that glove because his mom, Deborah, passed away at age 46 back in 2001. And part of his tribute, you can see it on Mother's Day. Susan Komen is, the pink glove. He started wearing it when he was with the Giants in 2003. Certainly still working.
So helps himself right there. That's a base hit up the middle. Hardy's going, will somebody please not catch a ball that should be a hit?
Well, you can't hit it up the middle on these guys. Whether it's Trout or Borges or now Williams.
Dickerson up, Chris Dickerson, and a 1-strike count. He popped out to short his first time up. By the way, Chris Davis is not only the American League leader, but also the Major League leader in home runs with a 21. He's put up. Brown of Philadelphia has got 19 to lead the National League.
Yeah, how about Dominic Brown, who hits 12 home runs in the month of May and never walked once. So I guess why take walks? I'm going to be swinging. How about that? No walks, but 12 home runs.
I love it. Here's the 0-2 delivery on the way, and that is a called strike. And number 2 in the K department for Williams.
Well, strike one, and then a little cutter in, and then your Nissan pitch track. Watch this pitch. Look where Conger goes. Ball just runs outside middle. Chris Dickerson, no different than anybody else. How do I not play every day and try to stay sharp? And then when you have guys like Tyrone Williams, you have to understand, up until today's game, in his last 5 starts, he'd only given up 8 runs. So he's been pitching well. 3 runs is a nice start for the Orioles against a guy that's been really good.
Ryan Flaherty, the ground ball, will go to first base. Couple of hops. Hop makes the play. And Flaherty is retired, but the Orioles have the lead. A run on a hit as Chris Davis delivers his Major League leading 21st home run, kicking off the 4th. 3-2 O's. The Orioles the lead with a home run. Buck Showalter was kind of asked a question today about Chris Davis, and he's in a little slump here, and he just went, I think we're going to give him his time. Well, I think he'll be okay.
He'd be the first guy to tell you, not only Buck, but what Chris Davis said in spring training. He said it's great to play for a manager that trusts you. And when he'd have some good times down in Texas. They always had they had guys behind him, Hamilton or whatever, and he didn't know if he went 0 for 3 if he was going to play the next day. That is not the case here in Baltimore.
No.
So I think because he's 0 for 16, let's give him a month off. No, it's not going to work. Not going to happen.
So we continue in this series with these tight ball games. Low scoring, fine D, outstanding pitching. Hamill now back on top. Working to Brad Hopp, who struck out his first time up. Conger and then Ibar. Bottom third of the order for the Angels.
Yeah,
and it's away.
They made him work. So for Jason, and He gets a lot of runs. Didn't in his last game, but 6.75 over the course of this year. Today may be one of those games where you're just going to have to really bear down. And then when you get into the 1-run games, and especially when they get through the lineup the second and then into the third times, and when you talk about it all the time, can you throw strike one? Can you get the first hitter of an inning out? Can you stay away from the home run and the extra base hit?
No.
And then the answer is no.
So there's the first walk surrendered. It is a leadoff walk here in the 5th inning, and Hop is on. Our PNC minor league report brought to you by PNC Bank for the achiever in you. Travis Ishikawa, last 28 games, very big numbers. 392 average. Look at that. 49 games this season, 316.
Yeah, if he had one of those opt-out, he might be exercising that, but I don't know if that's the case.
He'll be a wanted player either here or somewhere else with all the injuries that have happened already, and you know there'll be more to come, and offensive players will be in need.
So now crunch time.
Conger.
For Jason Hamill, in the sense that when you look at this lineup today, there are guys that you circle, I need to get this guy out, and Hop was one of them. Struck him out the first time. He walks him, didn't want to do that. Got behind Conger. He hit the home run. It was a 2-0 fastball. Pretty predictable. He's going to have a good swing.
Switch hitter with the 0-1. And Conger in a check swing puts it back into the seats foul. And the count goes to 2 strikes.
Yeah, you take a young guy, and that's what Hank Conger is. I mean, he's a talented guy that looked like he was going to make the club last year, but when you're inexperienced for Mike Scioscia, who's a former catcher, it's not about your hitting. It's about how do you throw. He throws well. Can you call a good game? And they had other guys they thought were a little bit better, but now all of a sudden 0-2, everything changes for Jason Hamill if he can make a good pitch.
Runner off first base. The breaking ball will miss. 1-2 count. Hamill piling up some pitches here in the ball game, and that's going to become an issue for him. He's up to 74 thrown so far in the game. 2 very efficient performances last night in Jason Vargas and Miguel Gonzalez. Just outstanding, helped by their defense with big plays. 1-2 delivery on the way and fouled off. That'll hold the count at a ball and 2 strikes. The Orioles with that 9 over 500. Trying to reach that magic first mark at 10 games over 500, and then you work from there to get as many over 5 as you can. And the Orioles, if they could get a win here, would have a 3-game sweep for the first time this year, and for the first time against the Angels since 2010. Hop with a lead at first base. 1 ball, 2 strike count. And down to first, another one. Davis, fine play. There's one. He gets back to the bag. Can't hang on to it, though. Runner makes the turn, but Teagarden's there to back it up. So it'll be a fielder's choice, and Conger's on at first.
Yeah, a lot of traffic, and when you make that throw, and this is a terrific play. Bobby Dickerson, Mike Bordick working with him. I mean, the ball comes up. They taught him to stay down all spring training, and then he just misses it. And again, I think he's trying to find the bag and also the ball, and he gets handcuffed a little bit.
So they get the lead runner for the first out of the inning, putting Conger on, an Ibar will come to the plate. Ibar, batting 9th, has singled. A couple of hits in the series now, 2 for 8.
Well, that 12 pitch at bat. Boy, what a bat he had.
Hitting .261 on the year, and he will take the pitch for a strike. The Angels have averaged 5.5 runs in day games. The Orioles just behind them, as these two teams have put up the biggest number of runs in day games. But here in this one so far, runs at a premium. Each team picking up a run in the 4th inning. 0-1 delivery down the other way, and that's going to be a souvenir. We saw the Dodger fight last night with Arizona, and boy, that's going to kick that series into high gear for the rest of the year. You may have noticed Yusel Puig. You may have been reading about him. Here on the East Coast, we don't hear a lot. He's the defector from Cuba, 22 years old, who's come on, won National League Player of the Week honors in his first week in the majors. 8 for 16, 4 homers, 10 RBIs in 8 games. $42 million deal with the Dodgers. They've already made the money back. I saw an article. Yusel Puig, in 4 days last week, sold 3,000 units of merchandise having to do with his name. 1,600 T-shirts. There were special T-shirts, Viva Puig, $28 each. 600 jerseys at $225 each. Replica jerseys at $110 each. $135,000 on those jerseys alone. Davis, another chance. There's one. Relay pitcher. No.
Yeah, Chris says, I'll get out of the way this time. But more speed by Ibar. He makes a nice play again because he's got to clear the runner. You want to get the lead runner, 1-run lead. Watch him catch the ball. Just take that little spin move to get inside the runner to get a better angle. And then Jason Hamill, at 6'6", able to get over there, but Ibar beats it out, and that's a huge not getting doubled up because of the guy that's coming to the plate.
A couple of fielders' choices will keep the inning alive, and Trout coming up.
And they all come over to talk to him because, like, if you cover first base, you're going to be out of breath. I understand. I mean, if you're out of breath just because you ran over to first, it's time to call in.
Might want to jog a little
more. Make a call to the bullpen.
2 down. Here's Trout. Trout is hit into a double play on a line drive, and he's flied to center field. The Orioles up by a score of 3-2. Ibar at first base, and Trout fouls it off. So Puig is an interesting story, one to watch. Everybody that's seen him play, again, I sat with the scouts this morning. I love doing that. The tables where you find out what the hell's going on around baseball.
Exactly.
So he sold about $200,000 worth of related paraphernalia in a 4-day period. That was the largest sale of paraphernalia, can you believe this, in Dodger history in 4 days. Think of the names.
Even more than Mannywood.
Anyone.
Mannywood.
Yeah, even more than Mannywood. More than Fernando, more than Hideo, more than anyone. Down the line in right field. I thought of it because Puig in that brawl last night, he is a specimen. Yeah. And he was being held out on the outside of that big circle.
Well, Kennedy grazed his nose.
Yes.
They hit him it didn't flush him, but it was right around the nose. And then Kennedy also threw one at Greinke's head.
Ooh.
There's going to be some serious suspensions.
Yes.
I like the picture of Mark McGwire picking up Matt Williams, who's not exactly a light guy.
No. There was some pretty good heavyweights involved on the field. Fortunately, while it got out of hand, they did get quieted down before anybody apparently got seriously hurt.
Yeah, it reminds me of when Frank Howard and Ken Harrelson were teammates, and he used to take towels and punch Frank, and Frank said cut it out, and he kept doing it, and he just picked him off the ground, 230 pounds, and said, I told you not to stop doing that, in a very nice way.
And that is foul back. Is there anything better than watching Frank Howard in batting practice at the old Kennedy Stadium in D.C. when he used to hit him into the upper deck and sometimes beyond? And
he did them in the games, too.
Yeah, he did. He did do them in the games. Camilo Pascual used to come to the front of the bench when Howard hit because he said, I so much enjoy the swing, watching him swing.
Well, you didn't want to pitch against him. When I look at Mark Trumbull, I think of the guys that hit the ball back up the middle, and Howard was one of those.
Yeah.
It's a death wish. I mean, it really was. Dave McNally's pitching one day, and Mac won 20 games 4 times for the Orioles, and he used to have the bugle, da-da-da-da-da, and he timed it perfectly with Frank hitting one into the mezzanine. It was...
And Trout will take the pitch down low. Goes to 1-2. Runner at first, 2 down. 5th inning. Orioles lead at 3-2.
Which is what Mike Trout would like to do.
In and in it.
He is. Jason's made some nice pitches, and he can't. This kid, for a guy that hit 30 home runs in his first full year in the big leagues, he has great plate coverage. Not only, forget the strength. I mean, you can pitch him in, he'll fight it off. If you go out over the plate, breaking ball or fastball, he'll hit it over the center field or the right field fence. When we get to Tiger Stadium, they told me Prince Fielder hit one 461 feet, hit a guy in the chest 461 feet last year, dropped his hat, didn't even catch the ball. They have all those Harry Heilman and Ty Cobb and all that. He hit one almost that far to the opposite field last year. I mean, it's incredible when you see how far this kid can hit the ball.
1-2 delivery on the way. Trout off the fist. Davis coming over. He's got room. He makes the catch. So a busy inning at first base. A couple of fielders' choice plays 3-6, and finally they pop out to end it. 1 left on. Today's Maryland Lottery hit a big contestant of the game will receive $500 for any Orioles home run. James Miles Wilson, you've already won $1,100 today. For your chance to be the Maryland Lottery hit a big contestant of the game, play 5-card cash. Go to mdlottery.com/Orioles to enter. Summer day at the ballpark. Temperatures edging into the upper 80s, overcast skies, little breeze kicking up towards left field. A great day for a ball game. And a good game underway. 3-6-0 for the Orioles, 2-5-0 for the Angels. Each team has left a couple on base. Taylor Teagarden will lead it off for the O's. Teagarden, strikeout victim his first time up. Then McLouth and Machado. Williams' pitch off the glove of Conger to the backstop. The Orioles starter, Hamill, a walk and a strikeout. Williams, no walks and 2 strikeouts, so the ball being put in play by both of these teams. 1-0 delivery to Teagarden. Taylor down to third base, handled by Cayespo. On Friday, the Orioles will celebrate Flag Day and the Army's birthday with a patriotic-themed fireworks show following the O's-Red Sox game at 7:05. First 10,000 fans, 15 and over, get the O's Military Appreciation T-shirt presented by Geico. Good seats remain but won't last. 888-848-BIRD, Orioles.com. So the Army will be celebrating a birthday. Here is Nate McLouth. He's had a couple of singles and a run scored in the game. And the delivery will be taken inside for a strike. A couple of the guys right there who just got moved up as the Orioles, recognizing the military who are on hand. I say got moved up to a better seat, but got moved down closer to the field. They're right in the first row, right behind home plate. 0-1 delivery inside.
Almost gets him. Well, it's kind of like when you fly and fly commercial airlines. It doesn't really matter which ones. They let the military, as they should, board first, before first class, before global people and all that. And it's a tremendous tribute.
And that's a foul ball, McLouth.
I'm not sure everybody thinks that way, but if you think about it, I mean, it's really, no, I'm just saying.
I'm interested in the term global.
Well, that's when if you're a global mileage guy.
Your frequent flyer is global.
Well, your company is.
Your company.
And if you are, you look very tired.
Which I am. Here's the 1-2 delivery. That'll go to second base. Kendrick. And the Williams finally able to get McLouth out of there. And there are 2 down here in the 5th. After the Orioles complete this series against the Angels today, stick around. The Mid-Atlantic Sports Report will be on 5 to 7. Rob Long, Dave Johnson, Mel Anton, and Phil Wood. They'll take a look at the series. Look ahead to the 4-game series coming up against Boston. Break down Matt Wieters. Compare him to some of the best catchers in the game. All and more coming up on the Mid-Atlantic Sports Report 5 to 7. Just made that up. All and more is kind of incongruous. Would be somewhat difficult. It's like 110%. 2 down, nobody on. Here's Machado. He's hit a double and he's popped out. Machado scoring in the first inning when the Orioles got 2. Markakis and Jones on ground ball outs. Davis the home run in the 4th inning to regain the lead. The other side of the scorecard, Kendrick got an RBI double in the 4th inning after the homer by Conger in the 3rd. 0-1 delivery will be taken away. Machado with his 10-game hit streak. Could have had a multi-hit game in this one already, but for a fine play by Kendrick. Caught a pop-up with his back to the plate last time up.
Yeah, the hitting streak, they're all single hits in those games after. Seems like every night he was getting 2 or 3 hits.
1-1 delivery by Williams to him. First base, pop. No play.
You don't get a whole lot of pitches up out of the zone or up into the hitting zone from Jerome Williams. Even the home run he gave up to Chris Davis was down. Mike Butcher, his pitching coach with the Angels, very pleased with what he's been able to do. The Weaver injury, Tommy Hanson with some problems early on with his velocity. Blanton 1-10.
Inside, so Williams goes back and forth, bullpen starter. It's his 8th big league season, 3rd with the Angels, 37 wins, 38 losses in his career. San Francisco, the Cubs, Washington, and the Angels. And that one's going to be a multi-hit game base hit. Single into right field. Hamilton up with it, and Machado. But he does so well taking it where it's pitched.
Yep, well, that's one of those information pitches if you're Jerome Williams. You get an idea of how good, because this separates the average hitters to the great hitters, or at least on the verge of being great, is can you hit a good pitch? And that's exactly what he does. This is not down the middle. It's not a hanger. It's a pitcher's pitch, and he just promptly puts it into right field. And when he does that, I mean, this is what Jim Presley has talked about for the 3 years he's been here, is using the whole field, and there's a perfect example of it. And it gets Markakis to the plate.
Leads the Orioles with 25. The multi-hit department, and the pitch will be taken for a strike by Markakis, who is singled, picked up an RBI and a ground ball out. Nick now with a 4-game hit streak. Nick came in hitting .250 against the Angels on the season. Has 4 RBIs against them in this, the 7th game played. Quick toss over, and Manny Machado back. There are 2 down here. Orioles up by 1. Now with 7 hits in the game for the O's. Williams at 65 pitches thrown.
Much more efficient than at least to this point than Jason Hamill's been able to, but does trail by a run.
And completely fooled on that one.
Well, back-to-back changeups, and how often do you ever see that? Good news for Nick, it's only strike 2.
So you're inside Nick Markakis' mind and you're hitting. You've just seen back-to-back changeup, 0-2, 2 down.
He looks for the ball.
Wherever it is. See it, hit it.
Yep, or hopefully.
Yeah. Here's the 0-2 delivery, and away with it. 1 ball, 2 strike count.
I once asked, we had Eddie Murray and Tony Gwynn on a Sunday morning when out in San Diego, and one guy that's 500 home runs, 3,000 hits, one of 4 guys, and another guy that won 8 batting titles. And I said, did you used to look for the pitches to Tony Gwynn? He said, no, I hit the inside pitch to left field and hit the outside pitch to left field.
Runner goes, and that's going to be off the glove of Hop. Kendrick backs it up and gets the out. A 3-4-3 put out. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on base. The Orioles up by a run. Shoulders. For pitchers today, strikeouts have been at a premium. Jason Hamill has only 1. He came in the 3rd inning. Brad Hopp, the opposing hitter, he would take the K. And for Hamill so far, the 1 strikeout and 1 more. 2-3-4 in the order as Shuck will lead it off for the Angels here in the 6th inning. J.B. Shuck is singled, grounded out. Fine play made by Hardy last time up to deny him a base hit. And he'll get the strike. Pujols and then Hamilton. 0-1 delivery, and that will miss up high for a ball. leadoff man on in this ball game. The Orioles able to get one in both the first and second innings, and Davis leading off the fourth with a home run. 1-1. That'll be in the air to left center. McLouth. And this moment in history brought to you by Volkswagen. We say happy birthday to the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. 1939, the Baseball Hall of Fame inducted in Cooperstown, the first class that would go in. We'll talk about that in a minute. And in 1999, Cal Ripken Jr. became the first Oriole to have a 6-for-6 ball game. Cal got it in a 22-1 interleague victory over the Braves. That ball's going to be a base hit into center field as Pujols gets his first hit of the ball game. One down here in the sixth inning.
That was pretty easy.
And Volkswagen, the Springtoberfest event going on now. Visit VWDealer.com today. The Hall of Fame is celebrating its 74th anniversary today. It was on June 12, 1939 that the induction of the first group of Hall of Famers took place. Ty Cobb, Walter Johnson, Babe Ruth, and Honus Wagner, and the late Christy Matheson. All had been elected in 1936, but did not have the hall available till 1939. That ball fouled off. And how about some of the folks on hand just to watch? Grover Cleveland Alexander, Eddie Collins, Napoleon Knapp LaJoy, Connie Mack, George Sisler, Tris Speaker, Cy Young. All there.
And then they would all eventually get in.
And they did.
I would imagine all those names.
All those names got in. They all got their plaques, in fact, on that day. But it was the first group that had been elected in 36 that was honored.
Good change up there.
And the Babe, of course, with the statue that is here, not far from the house where he was born, here in Baltimore.
The museum, about 2 blocks from Camden Yards, just a bit west of the stadium.
Ground ball towards second base. Flaherty will gobble this one up. Down to second base. Pujols, 2 down.
Yeah, so at least Hamilton gets him over. If you're tying runs, so something that the Angels haven't done at least well in this series. 0-for-6 on Monday night, and then only a couple of opportunities last night with runners in scoring position. That's how good Miguel Gonzalez was.
2 down, runner at second base. It's a big at bat. Kind of a quiet inning, quiet game, but base hit here could tie the game up. Remember, it's Pujols out there who can't run. And the pitch is taken for a strike. Kendrick had a double and an RBI in the fourth inning, 1 for 2 in the ball game.
So a couple of chances to drive in runs on Monday night, 0 for 2, and then last night a couple of soft singles, and then the double tonight. You can see the almost 300 with runners in scoring position.
That'll go to third. Manny Machado's going to tag Albert Pujols.
Smart play.
So Pujols is retired. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base. Orioles up by 1. on Masson is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at MBUSA.com, and by Chapin Davis Investments, Baltimore's oldest and largest full-service investment company. Call 1-800-222-3246 or visit chapindavis.com. Gary Thorne and Jim Palmer here at Camden Yards as the Orioles look to sweep a 3-game series for the first time this year. They've got the 3-2 lead in the ball game, batting in the bottom of the 6th. Jones, Davis, and Hardy. Adam Jones, RBI, first inning, and a ground ball out, and grounded out again in the 3rd. He's had 1 hit, 9 at bats in the series. That was a home run. Williams' delivery shows bunt with Cayespo way back. Takes the pitch for a strike.
And it was a big home run off of Jared Weaver. 1-0 at the time. The Angels were ahead, 2-run shot. And a changeup deep left field.
One delivery on the way, and that ball deep to left field, way back, and goodbye, home run. Adam Jones, number 14, and the Orioles lead is 2.
Well, he cut up the cutter. There you go.
Our Alexis of Towson driving the game.
Yeah, this doesn't go anywhere but down center cut and full extension. You know, they now even do the hang time on home runs. So if you hit them high like Chris Davis, there's more hang time. But if you hit them low like Adam Jones, it doesn't take long.
That one hit by Davis to the gap in right center field. That'll go all the way to the wall. Davis on his way to second base, and the bat is back. A homer, a double in 3 at-bats, and that is a career mark for Chris Davis as he gets the 2-bagger, his 100th double of his career.
Well, no panic. Just comes out and hits for about a half an hour on Monday, and all of a sudden things change a little bit.
So Williams may be tiring. Remember, it's only his 7th start. Last time he worked out of the bullpen. He's done well in his starts this season, but more time spent in the pen.
Yeah, 105, 190, 107, but when Weaver came back, they put him back out in the pen. So other than the 3 innings up in Boston, really hadn't been out there in a while. Very efficient. But it's a type of game, as you look at Mike Butcher, where you give up runs early, and then all of a sudden you know you can't give up anymore, and he's thrown a couple of solo home runs.
Hardy is singled, grounded out, runner at second. Each team 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position today. Again, haven't been a lot of chances. The Orioles up 4-2 with 9 hits in the game.
So this is one of those cases where does Hardy hit the ball to the right side, or as Buck Showalter said, I don't want one of my home run guys, one of the hottest hitters in baseball, hitting the 44 hopper to the right side here.
And Hardy will foul that one off. 1 ball, 2 strike count. So Hardy will try and get him home and increase this lead. Davis picking up 2 extra base hits in the ball game. 1-2. And he rips it, but it's going to be a foul ball. Well, we got a duck on the pond. Say what? One of the terms in baseball in our Major League notebook is ducks in a pond. It started with the bases loaded. It was used. Then anytime runners are on base more than 1. And Arch McDonald, who was a broadcaster with the Senators, in fact, 34-56, so he used to say it's as easy as shooting ducks on a pond, getting RBIs. Dizzy Dean, also known, he would scream out ducks on the pond to his teammates when there were runners on base. Interesting, both of them from Arkansas. Both of them were duck hunters.
Can we have a little dialect?
A dialect?
From Dizzy? Good sinker right there.
Got him with a strikeout.
I met Dizzy Dean. He lived in Scottsdale, Arizona. And he used to come out and play golf when my mom played. And the $100 bills, after the game was over, the $100 bills would be out on the table. And he was a big, big man. I mean,
and loud.
Yes, he was loud.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to tell him that. Dane De La Rosa just called up from Salt Lake. We saw him pitch a couple of times in that 4-game series out in early May against the Orioles. Very hard throwing righty.
Dickerson 0 for 2 has popped out and struck out with a runner at second base.
Well, he'd give you a partner. And then he doesn't slide into second. Apparently, when you work with
to the rumble, rumble and the roll. He used to sing Wabash Cannonball when he and Pee Wee Reese were doing the game of the week.
On CBS.
CBS.
It would be the Yankees every week.
Yes.
Didn't they eventually buy the Yankees?
Yes. Dickerson will take the pitch inside. Arch McDonald, the other name we noted there, broadcast for the Senators from in 1934, 1936. He was also with the Minnesota Twins during that time when Washington moved. McDonald, a well-respected, well-known broadcaster, and that Ducks on the Pond term used frequently still today. 1 ball, 1 strike count. And that pitch is inside, slider or cutter, and the count goes to 2-1.
Who was the broadcaster? 5 to 4 to 3, as pretty as she could be. It's another little, might have been a Cubs broadcaster.
Is that Jack Brickhouse?
Might have been.
I think it was Jack, but I wouldn't stake a cold one on it. Here's the 2-1 delivery to Dickerson down to first and foul.
Well, it wasn't Harry.
No, it wasn't Harry.
No, it wasn't Harry. I'm not sure if Jack Brickhouse was in the restaurant business like Harry Carey was. Steve Stone worked with Harry, and they would go out after the games, and Harry would have 2 or 3 drinks, and Stoney would have to say, Harry, he said, we got to eat earlier. I mean, can we just start eating and then.
Harry said, sure, I'm going to open a restaurant.
Right. Well, Stoney had already, I think he beat him to the restaurant business.
2-2 delivery on the way. That one hit the dirt in front of home plate and fouled off. It'll stay at 2-2.
In fact, when Steve Stone did pitch here in '79 and won the Cy Young 25-7 in 1980, actually, he was with Richard Millman, I think, at the Lettuce Entertainment, and they had like 6 or 7 restaurants. He had the whole team over at the pump room, which one of the great hotels in Chicago, and very nice, very gracious of him. I'm not sure he's still there. Now, when you go to Chicago, or we'll be there in I guess early
just
July.
Before July 4th.
Yeah. Now we just asked Ed Farmer, former Oriole pitcher. You know, he knows.
We don't even have to go out.
No,
he just brings it in.
Brings it into the booth. It's fabulous.
2 ball, 2 strike count. And a pitch taken down low. So 3-2, runner at second with only 1 away. The Orioles will run in on the Jones home run.
Well, it's not to say that Boog Powell over the years hasn't sent up a
absolutely
a barbecue sandwich, and you know, Rick Dempsey has the restaurant out in right field here at Camden Yards. He sent a couple of cheeseburgers early in the year.
Anybody else we need to cover here?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Well, Tom Addy used to have barbecue ribs. I don't know if he still has them out on Utah Street. What, a cotton candy or
cotton
popcorn?
Candy. 3-2 delivery on the way and a swing and a miss. Williams gets a big strikeout right there. That's his 4th of the ball game and 2 in a row. Celebrate Father's Day at Oriole Park as the Birds host the Red Sox on a Sunday afternoon 1:35 game. First 10,000 men 21 and over will receive a Father's Day travel kit. Make some new Birdland memories with your family at Oriole Park. Good seats still remain. Get your tickets in advance, 888-848-BIRD, or go to Orioles.com.
Now, Mike Butcher out, and this is all about who do you want to pitch. You're down by 2 runs now. Flaherty's on deck, left-handed hitter, and then Taylor Teagarden, who just came off the DL. De La Rosa, Jerome says, I can handle this. And leave the big, tall right-hander out there for at least for now. But who do you want to pitch to? And if it's going to be Flaherty, how do you want to do it?
So Flaherty up. He has popped out and grounded out. Leadoff Homer Jones, double by Davis. He's still out there at second base. Orioles have increased their lead to 4-2. Now see if Ryan Flaherty actually gets an RBI chance here, if they'll pitch to him. They may pitch to him but not give him anything to hit. We'll see. Outfield swung around to left a little bit. They give him that right field line. Williams with 2 down. And the soft one floats outside for a ball. Waterfront Kitchen. I got to throw that one in. You eaten there yet?
No.
Oh, great restaurant over by Fells Point. Probably the best view of the harbor.
Really?
Yeah. And a great cook, Jerry. Part owner, manager, and chef. Great place to eat. 2-0 count, 2 down.
That's what's so great about downtown Baltimore. I mean, you come to the ballpark, obviously you can eat all kinds of fare, but you don't have to go too far. Too far, and there's some really nice restaurants, all easily accessible by foot.
Yeah. Here's the 2-0 delivery on the way, and that'll be taken. So maybe working around Flaherty here as the count goes to 3-0, and now they are going to give him the intentional pass.
Mike Scioscia gave them the directions from the dugout.
This will be for Williams the first walk, putting runners on to first and second for Taylor Teagarden. Taylor would like to make this backfire. He's looking for his first hit.
Well, they got 9 hits last year and 9 RBIs, and 4 of them were game winners. Hit the home run against the Tigers. I still with that double down in a 1-0 victory against when Gonzalez pitched with David Price, and they won in extra innings.
Just his 7th game.
And then got us onto the plane in that 18-inning game out in Seattle with a game-winning hit.
0 for 19 on the year. 2 down, 2 on. Williams delivery to him, and Teagarden will take the pitch for a ball.
Yeah, good take there. Now you talk to Taylor when he came up through the minor leagues. Actually, in 1 year in the minor leagues, he hit 28 home runs. Well, that's when he was playing every day. That's before the back problems. But all you got to do is look at the scoreboard and you see what his strength is, what his meaning is to this ball club, because he's been able to steer Jason Hamill only 2 runs through the first 6.
1-0 delivery to him. Teagarden will foul it right straight back. Taylor last year only got 57 at bats with the Orioles, having to work his way back up after the strained back, put him on the DL. He hit 158 with a couple of home runs that Jim was talking about, and the 9 RBIs. He's got Davis at second and Flaherty at first. One ball, 1 strike count. Down to third base. Got a force, and that's where he'll go. So the Orioles will pick up a run on 2 hits, no errors. 2 are left on base. Jones started it out with his 14th home run of the season. And one coming off Williams to increase the Orioles' lead to 4-2.
RBI single. Jonesy would add another one to make it 2-0. And then Hank Conger, 2-0 fastball, his 4th home run off of Jason Hamill to make it 2-1. 3-1 on the 21st home run by Chris Davis, the big fly to deep center field. Adam Jones's 14th would make it 4-2. And So there you go. Williams still on the hill. Jason Hamill trying to pitch here the 7th, trying to run his record 8-4. Geico saving people money on more than just car insurance.
So Hamill will work to Callaspo to lead off the 7th inning. Callaspo 0 for 2. And we'll take the pitch up high for a ball. This season, 8 innings worked against the Nationals in that fine win he got, giving up just a couple of runs in the game on 8 hits. That's his high this season in innings pitched, 8. And the pitch will be taken down low, and the count goes to 2-0.
Well, he went into the 7th inning down in Tampa Bay with a 1-0 lead, and then Loney hit a 2-strike pitch for a single, and then a fastball first pitch to Desmond Jennings, 2-run home run. And so this is the time of the game. We saw it with Miguel Gonzalez. You use all your pitches. You stay back a little bit, maybe a little bit of fatigue. Get your arm out in front and pitch.
2-1 delivery, fouled off, and he comes back on Callaspo for a 2-ball, 2-strike count.
There's a tendency when it's warm and the pitch count mounts that you want to use everything, your body, and if your arm lags, your body gets out in front, it's almost impossible to make the kind of pitches you want to make.
Orioles have won 9 of the 13 starts that Jason Hamill's made. Yes, a good part of that's because they have scored so many runs in the ball game he started. But nevertheless, 9 wins in 13 starts.
Well, it is, and he can personally run his record to 8-4.
That's going to be a base hit. Callaspo with a leadoff single in the 7th inning, so the Angels will get the potential tying run to the plate. Tomorrow, don't miss your chance to meet pitcher Chris Tillman, the official Orioles team store at the York Galleria. He'll be there noon to 1. He'll be signing autographs, meeting fans, answering questions, and the Vote Orange Streak team's going to be on hand to encourage voting for the All-Star game. That's tomorrow noon to 1. York Galleria, official Orioles team store. Details on OriolesReach.com. So a discussion here in the top half of the 7th inning. 100 pitches thrown by Hamill.
So the minute that single went into center field, the bullpen got up. And that's a little visit by Rick Adair, the Oriole pitching coach, gives Pedro a chance to get loose.
So while Strop warms up, the Angels' Hop will come to the plate. He has drawn a walk and struck out. Brad Hop with nobody out, runner on at first base. Orioles will look again for the double plays that have been so prevalent, coming at vital times in the first 2 games of this series, and again here in this one. Pitch will be taken up high for a ball. Came up from AAA on Saturday. Hop was batting .305, 37 games with the Salt Lake City Bees. Been used off the bench primarily as a pinch hitter while he's been with the club. Start today at first base. 1-0 delivery. Hop will take it away. 2-0.
So again, this is where you can cheat. Talked about Hop's always had a long swing. I mean, it's very productive in Colorado. Going back where 29, 26 home runs. So he can cheat here. He can look for his fastball. He can look for the middle of the plate.
2-0 delivery, not close, and Hamill may be nearing the empty mark on the tank.
Well, we saw that right after the home run by Jennings. Everything up, and had to go to the bullpen. And this is what the Angels want. They want somebody that gets fatigued, elevates the ball, gets behind, because they're only 2 runs down.
Hop's got to be taking here. Throw over to first base, but Callaspo back easily. Only a couple of step lead over there. 3-0 count. Only 1 walk surrendered by Hamill in the ball game. That came in the 5th inning, and it was Hop who got the walk, and then ended up taken out on a fielder's choice. 3-0 delivery on the way. He does, not close, up high.
Well, he's cooked. You can just tell, arm angle, everything dropping. It's just a matter of, is he ready? Do you want to make the decision? And it's not a decision that Buck wants to make. It's just you look, you see the command's gone. Maybe it's fatigue. It's been a very warm day. And it's not like it was lights out all day. And he's shaking his head. He just said you lose your rhythm and you can't get on top of your stuff. So he'll depart with a chance to win.
6 innings plus, but a chance to be the winner and pick up his 8th. Second against the Angels. We'll sit and watch, and there's the line.
Yeah, but again, the solo home run, which has been what the Angels have hit in this series. So it didn't want to walk Hop back-to-back times after he struck him out the first time. So now it's up to the bullpen. Pedro Strop, who was kind of, had some lower back problems, along with the wildness and the lack of confidence in command. Did come back against the Rays over the weekend. A couple of strikeouts, a hit in 1 inning pitch, so you can see that 14 base on balls. So what Pedro Strop will we see? Will we see the guy with the dominating sinker, the ability to throw strikes with a hard slider? Or will you see a guy that's struggling with his command? The Angels certainly hope they see that. The Orioles are just hoping he does what he did the first 4 months of last season, which is just throw ground balls and get the big outs.
Power hitter coming up. Hank Conger, who's working behind the plate, homered in the 3rd inning, his 4th, hit into a fielder's choice. 2 on, nobody out. Orioles lead by 2, and we're in the 7th inning. Conger goes after the first one, off the glove. It's going to be an infield hit. Pedro Strop knocked it right straight up in the air, and the bases are loaded with nobody out.
Yeah, converted infielder. If he doesn't hit this ball, it's a double play ball. You just don't know that. Your reflexes, the ball's back up the middle, you go for it. I mean, good sinker, and then he doesn't know where it is, and then he can't get a handle on it. If it's a high chopper, most likely with Hardy up the middle, he's going to catch the ball, step on second, and get the double play.
So the bases are loaded, nobody out. Ibar at the plate. Everybody back in the infield except Machado, recognizing his speed, who will play even with the bag at 3rd. Sacks full. 8 hits for the Angels. Ibar will take the pitch outside for a ball. Ibar with the bases loaded, a 1 for 5 this season.
And he's a stealth hitter. He's a veteran guy that doesn't have a lot of power, but he'll look for pitches, and he can get very quick with the bat. Pull hitter from this side of the plate with very good speed.
0 for 1 off Strop, and the pitch is outside 2-0. Pedro Strop's 3rd game against the Angels this year in Anaheim. He worked a couple of games, 2 innings worth, struck out 2 and had 1 walk, gave up nothing. So a jam here. Strop to work out of. The Orioles will give up the run to get the double play. Ibar fouls it back 2-1.
Well, that's what you like to see, because it's not that you want him to go 2-0, but when you walk 14 and 18 and 2/3 innings, you get to the point where you just don't trust your command. He gets a little anxious out there, so they try to slow him down. And if he can throw his stuff is so electric that to him it's not about location, it's just about movement somewhere in the zone.
2 ball, 1 strike delivery on the way, and that's going to go to the gap in right center field. That should clear the bases. Callaspo scores. Hop scores. Conger's right on his heels, trying for a triple. Throw to third, skips through, and it will result in a run. A triple, 3 RBIs, an error, and 4-run score on 1 swing of the bat. And the Angels have a 6-4 lead.
Well, if you watched Ibar this series, you know he can get on some fastballs, and that's what he gets. And then if you're Pedro Strop, now this is right down the middle. Watch it run right to his bat head. And you're playing him straight away, so it's going to be up the gap. And where do you back up? You back up between third and home, not behind home plate. You can see him coming here. Well, again, if you have good baseball sense, it could be a triple. This guy can run. So when they throw to third, where are you standing? You're standing behind home plate. And so not only, I mean, you want to make the throw, but you want your pitcher to back it up, and he just didn't.
So a tremendously important at-bat. 4 on, 4 in here in the 7th inning. And a 6-4 lead for the Angels. And here's Trout, an 0 for 3 in the ball game. That'll be bounced away. 2 of those runs will be charged to Hamill. The fans booing Pedro Strop. So Hamill surrenders 4 runs, 7 hits in 6+ innings. He is non-decisioned in the ball game. The go-ahead runs charged to Strop. 1-1 delivery on a check swing. Did he go? Yes, he did. Rob Drake down at first base. Error will be charged on Flaherty on the throw that got by at third base, allowing the run to score. Triple 3 RBIs for Ibar. Here's the 1-2 delivery and a swing and a foul tip. For Ibar, that will be his first triple of the season. He now has 17 RBIs, and for the Orioles, just the 21st error they have committed, the fewest in the league. Still nobody out. 1-2 delivery. The other way foul.
So you can see an electric arm. And when he came over the end of 2011, he had always had control problems, and for whatever the reason, didn't have him here. Didn't have him the first 4 months of the year. And other than the World Baseball Classic, command has been a struggle.
He'll miss inside. Talking about his ground balls with a sinker. His career numbers, 71% of the outs he's recorded have been on ground balls. Even higher this year at just over 72%. But the problem of late, be it the back or whatever, the pitches have been up, and like the pitch to Ibar, it was the ball in the air in the gap. And a 3-ball 2-strike count on Trout.
Well, you have to give the hitters credit because they're smart enough to realize you have to hit off 95, 96. So they're looking hard. If he gets a ball in the middle of the plate, which is what happened to Eric Ibar, that's what he's looking for.
Manny Machado off the bag and got him. Nice play made by Davis to hang on. Again, the ballet dance move over there at first, which he's so good at.
Well, one of the things that Manny Machado gets his feet under him, but right there, because of the speed of Trout, he just picked it up and threw it a little bit off balance in a sense. But Chris Davis is a big target.
So they record the out, 1 down. J.B. Shuck, number 2 hitter, is single. 1 for 3 in the ball game, hitting at .277 on the year. And Shuck will take it inside for a ball.
So the Angels, what'd you say? They averaged 5.5 runs per game in the day.
Yep.
They've exceeded it.
Continue to lead the majors in runs scored in day games. Of course, there aren't that many of those around anymore. 1-0 delivery, and that's going to be way inside. And the count goes to 2-0. Patton getting up in the bullpen. So just like that, a ball game where the Orioles had really outplayed the Angels becomes unhinged from the Orioles' point of view. That's way inside. Then Strop falls behind 3-0. The Orioles bullpen through May 13 had an ERA of 2.64. Over the last 4 weeks, the ERA is almost 6. Here's the 3-0 delivery, and none of those close. And you can see by the body language of Strop, time for him to either pull it together or come out of the ball game. He's still struggling with that at bat by Ibar.
And for Buck Showalter, for that bullpen to get back to closer to where they were in May, we talked about it the whole first 5, 6, 7 weeks. If your starters aren't going to get deep in the game, it'll take its toll. And you don't know if that's the case. All you can do is look at the bottom line. And the bottom line is that a lot of guys out there that pitch well aren't pitching quite as well now. But there's so much time and games to go still in this career.
Albert Pujols 0 for 2 off Strop. 0-1 count. 1 down, runner at first base, 4 runs in here in the top of the 7th inning. Each team has 9 hits. Pujols, the single his last time up. Pujols lifetime against the Orioles with that .242 average. A struggle this season for him, hitting just over 200 against the O's with 1 home run. 0-1 delivery by Strop, and the fastball is right there for a strike. 0-2.
Yeah, when you look at Pedro, he's relatively young. He will turn 28 tomorrow, as a matter of fact. So he only had 242 innings. A converted infielder who walked in the minor leagues coming out of the Texas organization, 1 every 2 innings.
0-2 delivery, and that one is launched to left field, way back, and goodbye, home run. Albert Pujols delivers number 11. A 2 RBI shot, and increases the lead to 8-4. And he's not showing up a pitcher coming around so slowly. He just can't get there, and he's going to get to the plate the same time Buck Showalter gets to the mound. Showalter didn't even wait for Pujols to cross home.
Well, by the time the ball exploded off the bat, Buck was already coming out, and you got to feel sorry. The Angels don't feel sorry for Strop.
And the boos raining down on Strop. Hoping to get back to where he was last year, beginning of this season. And you go over the bench in these kind of situations, it's like you're invisible. Everybody walks away from you and there's not much to say, and he'll just have to think about this one for a while.
Well, they'll be very supportive if we look at the numbers for Troy Patton. The bullpen's such an integral and important part of this Oriole team. We third best in the American League last year, but that's last year. So Troy Patton started out really well early, and then he struggled. He showed glimpses, but the one number that jumps out, expect maybe righties, but boy, if you're a left-hander in the modern day of baseball and you can't get lefties out, and that 326 average higher than you'd want, it's not what you want to be doing.
Here is Hamilton. Hamilton with a single and 3 times to the plate. 4 hits in 12 at bats in the series. Pretty good series. Always tough against the Orioles. He's got a 13-game hit streak here at Camden Yards. Only Ichiro at 21 has a longer hit streak going here in this ballpark by an opposing player.
Yeah, a lot of off-speed pitches. Doesn't seem like he's getting to the fastball very well, but hit the splitter off Garcia for a home run. There it is.
Got him.
Well, that's what Troy Patton does. He can get you out with his fastball, his changeup, and then if you're a lefty, take a look at our Nissan pitch track. This is where you want to pitch 0-2. Throw it for the outside third of the plate. Let the break take it off the corner. Perfectly executed. You could see the rear end kind of heading towards the Oriole dugout.
Kendrick, a .322 hitter against left-handers starting the day. .321 against right-handers. Can't get much closer. Down the line, Markakis will give chase. Fair ball. That's going to roll into the corner. Kendrick on his way to second, taking a look back as Markakis gets it in, and he'll stop there with a double. And the Angels have batted around here in the 7th inning. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. So 11 hits on the board for the Angels, and this all started with the Kendrick with the Callaspo single, rather, and he's up for the second time in the inning.
Yeah, he just hit a what you thought might be a harmless single to start it off into center field. But the walk, you look back at the inning, and there's all kinds. I mean, there's the there's the home runs and the doubles and the triples, not backing up the home plate, but the walk to Brad Hopp. Just didn't want to do that. Can't always do what you want, though.
Callaspo 1 for 3 in the ball game. He's a .229 hitter off left-handers this season. Runner on at second base, 2 down. Patton trying to get out of the inning. 2-0 delivery. Little half swing pop up to right field. Nick Markakis is there, and he puts it away, but not before great damage is done. 7th inning stretch time. Big inning for the Angels. 6 runs. They lead at 8-4. Of his 4th win lifetime against 1 loss against the Orioles.
Yeah, again, look at the walks. He does give up the home runs, a couple of solo home runs, but he kept them in the game, and then that vaunted offense you keep waiting for. So Dane De La Rosa, we saw him out on the West Coast swing a couple of times, as a matter of fact. He was sent down, called up. Robert Coelho, a right-hander with some shoulder problems, so De La Rosa comes back. De La Rosa, who, when you look at his numbers, great on the road. 1 earned run, 10 2/3 innings out at Angel Stadium. 11 earned runs in 16 innings pitched. So better on the road than at home.
He has more innings pitched than any other or appearances at least, 27 than any other Angel pitcher, yet got sent down. Worked on the 10th at Colorado Springs for an inning and a third in his last outing, and then called back up. Last major league game was on June the 2nd against Houston. So Dane De La Rosa, 30-year-old right-hander, will try and protect an 8-4 Angels lead. Bottom of the 7th inning. Nate McLouth will lead it off for the Orioles. And the pitch is there for a strike.
Hey, look at our Jeep inside the numbers. The ascent of the batting average. And with it, on base percentage, home runs. You get a Gold Glove guy. We talked about Dan Duquette going out and signing him as a down at AAA Norfolk and then bringing him to the big leagues last year. And they got somebody that you could depend on for defense, base running, brought speed to the lineup, and it's continued into the 2013 year.
2 singles and 3 at bats for the Orioles leadoff batter. And McLouth will take the pitch down low. So the Orioles need runners now. 2 ball, 1 strike count. They got the heart of the order up here. Top of the order, Machado, then Markakis.
Well, they got 9 outs to work with.
Chance to get him back
by 4, yeah. And he's going to get a good pitch to hit here. It's got to be something you can throw over if you're Hank Conger. That's what the finger you put down.
2-1 foul back. McLouth has joined the group of the hardest to strike out in the American League. We were noting the other night the Orioles had gone from the 3rd most strikeouts in the league to the 3rd fewest strikeouts in the league. That's got to help your offense. And Nick Markakis continues to be the toughest batter to strike out. McLouth is the 5th most difficult. Hardy is the 9th most difficult to K.
Yeah, that's the one number that jumps out, because you look at you think J.J. Hardy, well, maybe a little bit more of a free swinger because of the power numbers, but even he's been able to control that swing.
Hop at first base will take the play and will get the out. McLouth is retired, 1 down. MLB.com at bat is the #1 source for live baseball everywhere you go. Available for iPhone, iPad, Android, BlackBerry 10. At Bat delivers Oriole baseball, live audio pitch tracking, stats, news, highlights, and more. Text at Bat 31826. Go to Orioles.com for details. One away, Machado coming up.
Yeah, Mark Trumbo coming in. Hard to, a guy that hit 32 home runs coming in for defense, but yeah, he's down there.
So Trumbo is in for Hop at first base. And the pitch will be taken for a ball. Manny Machado single double and is popped out. Make that a strike called. Manny with the 2 for 3, back to the multi-hit games and hitting at .319. De La Rosa's delivery to him. That's going to be up high for a ball. Strop charged with 4 runs on 3 hits and a walk in a third of an inning. Hamill 4 runs, 7 hits, 6+ innings. And then Patton came on to get the side out. 1 ball, 1 strike. And the pitch will be taken inside for a ball. Peter Borges now is in center field.
So they got the A outfield. Trout moves over to left. Hamilton still in right.
1 ball, 1 strike count. So the outfield of Trout, Borges, and Hamilton. That will be fouled. And the count on Manny Machado will go to 2-2. 1 postponement already today. More big storms in the Midwest. White Sox and Toronto already rained out in Chicago. Really? And the Cubs are playing? 2 ball, 2 strike count. I don't know about that one.
Well, south side.
That's right.
The north side.
Here's the 2-2 delivery, and the pitch is outside. I mean, the home team got some rest for pitchers needed.
The Cubbies are 25 and 37, and the White Sox are 28 and 35. Neither, a lot of times you'll. That's how the Red Sox did. They spent $2 million on the new draining system. Weren't playing well in April. Game got called. I wanted to wait till later.
3-2 delivery, Machado. The Cubs have a 1-0 lead over Cincinnati playing at Wrigley. And the White Sox playing on the south side. That game was scheduled for tonight, isn't it? It's already rained out.
Well, I don't know how to even try to explain that one. I'm looking at it. I mean, yeah, and they got Chris Sale. I think they have a big, tall lefty. Sound like they don't like the pitching matchup.
They got a better weather forecaster, I guess. 3-2 strike count. And the ball popped up again towards the seats, and that'll be out of play. We're hoping Mother Nature holds up here. Next few days, couple of days anyway. Those rains that are coming across the Midwest may reach the Mid-Atlantic. 3-2 strike count. Machado, 1 down, nobody on. Red Sox in town. Starts tomorrow. 4-game series. With Kevin Gausman going against Felix Dubron, the starter left-hander for the Red Sox. Game 1. 3-2 strike count. And got him on a pitch away.
Yeah, a lot of times, as you mentioned, De La Rosa, 30 years old, and sometimes you're trying to throw a strike. Look how good a pitch this is. Right on the outside corner. Great finish, great velocity. And because it's 3-2, Manny Machado has to try to protect.
So 2 down in the bottom of the 7th. Nick Markakis. Nick, a single, 1 for 3 and an RBI. Now with a 4-game hit streak, and again moving that average up towards the 300 mark. Markakis will take the pitch away for a ball. Orioles down by a score of 8-4. Ball game where they had the lead until the 7th inning. Then the 10 hitters came to the plate for the Angels. 6 runs, 5 hits, and an error. And when it was said and done, the Angels up by 4. That ball popped up in the air down the line. Long run, Cayespo. Sliding, can't get to it.
Yeah, that cinder track a little bit more comfortable on the, used to call them the strawberries you get from sliding.
1-1 strike count on Markakis. Big hit in the ball game, the triple by Ibar with the bases loaded. 2-run homer picked up by Pujols in the same inning, that 7th. Extra base hits, couple of big ones. Orioles have had homers from Davis and Jones. Adam Jones, another multi-RBI game. He's got 2 in this one. Markakis, RBI. Down to first. Trumbo will take it to the bag, and a clean inning for De La Rosa. We've completed 7 now at Camden Yards with the Angels on top. Time brought to you by Miller Lite. Positive sign for the Orioles and Chris Davis. Bat back, couple of hits, including this home run. Chris Davis leading the majors now with 21. Hadn't had a home run since June the 2nd. Gets one here. He had not picked up his 21st home run last year until August 24. He gets his 21st home run this year on June 12.
And ended up hitting 33 home runs. I saw the other day he's on a pace to hit 50. Never really believed in that kind of stuff, but I do believe he's having a heck of a year.
He is that.
You don't want to. You can never project. Well, you can always project, I suppose, but you never want to look ahead if you're playing this game.
It'll bite you.
Yeah, it sure does.
We go to the 8th inning. Patton will stay on for the Orioles, and the pitch will be taken for a strike. Peter Borges. This is the first at bat Borges has had in the ball game, coming on as the defensive replacement. And Borges will fight that one off. Borges hitting at .311 on the year, looking for his first home run in the month of June. Peter Borges been a big part of the offense for this team when it's had it going. That .311 average, 2 homers, 8 RBIs, a couple of doubles, and 2 triples. Fouls that one away, and it goes to 0-2, and they're just happy he's back in the lineup for him after coming off the DL.
Well, it gives him a lot of flexibility if you're Mike Scioscia. You know, when you talk to Mike Scioscia and you read all the stuff, well, you know, they came in today at what, 27 and 38. He said, listen, he said, I expect those kind of things when the team is underachieving. I know where this team needs to go. It's not like he doesn't have a track record. He says as long as ownership, talking about Artie Moreno, believes in me, but they've had injuries. He knows they need to play better. I think the players are aware of it. But sometimes those core players, the Torrey Hunters of the world, when you miss them, and Pujols, you just saw him, he's playing hurt.
Swing and a miss, and a pitch away. Patton gets a strikeout. That's his second. And it's time to text in your vote for the AT&T Player of the Game. Here are the candidates. 2 for 3 home run double for Davis. Adam Jones has delivered the long ball and 2 RBIs. And Eric Ibar with that big triple. He's had 2 hits, 3 runs batted in. Text in your vote A, B, or C. 31826. 2 Ks for Troy Patton. Here's Hank Conger. And the catcher takes it for a strike. Conger's had a very solid day. His 4th home run came in the 3rd inning. Picked up a single as part of the 7th inning and would score. 2 for 3 in the ball game. Conger at .273 in the year. And a swing and a tail away pitch. 0-2.
Really good changeup.
Gibson in the bullpen, the speed baller. Oh, 2 count, 1 down. Patton trying to come in. Couldn't get him to go after it, though, and a 1-ball, 2-strike count.
Well, you talked about the bullpen, a little bit of a struggle since early May, and Troy is one of those guys. Final 39 games last year, ERA of under 1.5 runs a game. Started slow, got better as the season progressed. And so he knows what he has to do.
1-2 popped up. Seats, yes. Orioles starting the day 2.5 games behind the Red Sox. The Orioles have won 3 in a row. Red Sox playing tonight against Tampa. Rays are a 1.5 behind the Orioles. Everything bunching up here with Boston 2 ahead of the Yankees, 2.5 over the Orioles, and 4 ahead of Tampa Bay. Toronto 11 games out. But they're going to get better. And the power they've got in that lineup, and maybe if they can settle the pitching down, speaking of injuries. Here's the 1-2 delivery to Conger off speed. Got him.
Yeah, nice little curveball. So all of the home runs that Hank Conger has hit in his career, all 10 of them from the other side of the plate. So this is the backdoor curveball. Started off a corner, the speed, the break of the pitch. That's out on your front foot. Yeah, I saw where David Price is going to do a simulated game, last year's Cy Young Award winner for the Rays.
Here's Ibar. Difference in the ball game. The triple in the 7th inning. Not only cleared the bases, but on a throwing error to third, trying to get him. It went wild, and he came in to score. 2 for 3 in the ball game. Big output from the bottom part of this order. He'll foul that one away.
Yeah, the amazing thing, you go back and look at that inning with Hamill on the mound. Callaspo singles. He walks Brad Hopp, and then they bring in Pedro Strop. Conger hits a double play ball, but it goes off the glove of Strop, and that gets Iber to the plate, and then he gets a pitch right down the middle and triples and scores on the throwing error.
Fouled away. 4 hits, 4 runs scored by the bottom 3 in the order. 2 down, nobody on here in the 8th inning.
Well, they have played today. When you talk about the Angels, the way you expect this offense to be able to produce runs. They've gotten big hits, something they didn't do in games 1 or 2. They've hit some home runs. Pitching's been pretty good.
And Patton will get the K. Put out made at first base, so Troy Patton strikes the side out. He's got 4 strikeouts, 5 batters faced. Angels lead. Welcoming the Red Sox to the 4-game set. Kevin Gausman takes the mound against Felix Dubrow. Coverage on MASN 2 HD 6:30 O's Extra, presented by Geico, followed by game coverage at 7. All the access you need right here on MASN.
There they are. How did you pronounce that? Dubrow. Tough lefty with a good breaking ball and changeup against Kevin Gausman, trying to get back on track. Orioles #1 draft choice out of LSU last year, so you could see certainly not pitching the way he wants to, but it's always a nice little challenge for you, a young 22-year-old pitcher to face the Red Sox.
And Jepson's on the mound coming out of the bullpen for the Angels.
So back off the DL. We saw him last night, threw the ball pretty well, 93 to 95. Ran into him in the locker room today. Shoulder seems to feel a lot better. Hard throwing righty. Doesn't walk a whole lot of guys, and strikes out 15 in 10 and a third inning. So nice little strikeout to inning ratio. Orioles looking for base runners, trailing by 4.
28-year-old Jepson, who went 3-2 last year in 49 appearances for the Angels, works to Adam Jones.
Yeah,
you're in the bottom of the 8th.
You haven't seen Ernesto Frieri, their closer. You just want him in this game because that means you've closed the gap, down by 4 here in the 8th if you're the Orioles.
Jones with the 0 for 2 off Jepson, hitting at .302. 14 home runs now and 45 RBIs, getting the 14th homer in the 6th inning, leading it off. 2 RBI ball game.
Yeah, Adam doesn't like that call. Takes a little stroll.
Adams' 11th multi-RBI ball game. Here's the 0-1 delivery to him, and he couldn't hold up and swing, and knew at that time, and it's 0-2. Here's the dinger he got earlier in the game.
Yeah, cutter that ends up in the middle of the plate. Boy, does that speed up the bat. 92 goes to 88. Adam all over it. 14th home run of the year. RBI in the first to go along with that home run and RBI.
2 home runs against the Angels this year, 6 lifetime. And the pitch will be taken away. 1 ball, 2 strike count. 25,964 ducats shelled out. 25,964 on hand, waiting for the Orioles to get it going again late, as the Orioles saw that close ball game and their 1-run lead evaporate in that 7th inning. Here's a 1-2 delivery, and that's fouled off. They'd actually gotten it up to a 2-run lead at that point, but couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, 4-2 got to be 8-4 in a hurry.
Jones, 1 ball, 2 strike count.
Well, Kevin Jepson, we've seen it already. 93, already up to 96 today. We've seen him throw in years past, almost hitting 100 at 98, and then he saw a nice little breaking ball.
1-2 delivery, fouled the other way. The Orioles have come back to win 3 ball games where they have trailed after 7 innings. They are 3-21 in those games. Metro Walters Ball Club again needing to come on strong offensively late, trying to get their first 3-game sweep of the year and their first against the Angels since 2010, but now find a formidable mountain in front of them to get there. Here's the 1-2 delivery by Jepson, and a swing and a foul ball. That one bounced up and caught Adam.
It's the second time. He took one off the shin early. Foul ball right off that left shin. And this time might have got him in the hand or other places. Oh, yes.
Missed his hand.
Yes, it did. He wished it hit his hand. Not really, but if you're going to get a choice, you might make another one.
I think we've just found the answer and how to deal with those. We'll just say it. Missed his head, missed his foot, missed his knee. 1 ball, 2 strike count. In the air to right, high sky. Hamilton shielding, can't find it. Now does. Now drops it. Fair ball. Jones will make the turn. He's on his way to third. Throw will come over, not in time. Hamilton struggling, trying to get it as he went over towards the line. And it bounced off him into foul territory, but it was a fair ball.
Yeah, you get glare, you got wind, and you got the sun. And they all factor in this play. He skies it down the right field line. He's got to go a long way for it. Playing out in right center, and there you can see about 2 feet in fair territory. Here Adams goes, I'm going to stretch this into, I don't know how they're going to call that. You'd think it'd be an error. Just doesn't see it. Can't catch what you don't see.
For the moment, they've charged him with an error. 3-base error on Hamilton. Davis, a homer, a double, and is flied out. Nobody out. Runner at third base. Ground ball will get the run in. Played by Trumbo to the bag. RBI for Davis, and makes it an 8-5 ball game. For every Orioles walk this season, Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield contributes $50 to the Y of Central Maryland's Fit and Fun program. To date, 173 walks, $8,650. Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield encourages each of us to take that first step towards a healthier and more active lifestyle. Chris Davis for the 2 RBI game. 8-5. Adam Jones crossing the plate for the second time in this one. 1 down, bases empty. Here's Hardy. Hardy 1 for 3, a base hit. And the pitch on the outside corner for a strike. There's Adam Jones. That discussion could be about the fact he got the third on that ball dropped, but it isn't. 0-1 count. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Jepson's delivery, and Hardy puts it in the air to center. Gorgeous air to haul it in, and there are 2 down. Deepest part of the ballpark. Brian Mattis in the bullpen for the Orioles. 2 down, nobody on, with a run in here in the 8th. And Dickerson coming to the plate. The Orioles DH has an 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts in the ball game. Orioles Red Sox tomorrow night. 2 night games, 7 o'clock, 4 o'clock Saturday, 1:30 Sunday. And Dickerson will take the pitch outside for a ball. One-0 count on Dickerson.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him try to, as we saw him in Seattle, drop one down. Need base runners here.
Take the pitch down low, so he gets ahead on the count 2-0 with Flaherty waiting on deck. Orioles Angels here in the day game. The Orioles winning by a score of 3-2 in last night's game and 4-3 in the first one. Looked like it was going to be that kind of ball game here. Still might be a 1-run game one way or the other, but certainly more offense than we saw in the first 2. Ball in the air to left field. This is a long run. Trout coming, not going to get there. That's a base hit. Dickerson's on his way to second. He's got a double.
Well, you got the 4th best scoring team in baseball. That's the Orioles. So while they still have outs, they're going to try to put them on the board if they can. And it really doesn't matter how you get there.
Big run scored on that ball dropped. Obviously, Hamilton on the air. Inning should be over. But because of it, a run is scored. Inning's not over. And Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, is going to come out with Flaherty coming to the plate. They've got their bullpen ready. There's their closer.
Yeah, so you get sometimes what you wish for. I haven't seen Ernesto Frieri, the hard-throwing right-hander that they acquired last year from Arizona.
Well, they talk. Let's take a look at our Major League Notebook under the East Winds. A couple of players who may be getting back who would affect the Eastern Division. As Reyes with Toronto, Jose Reyes is going to go on rehab for 2 weeks and then expects to be activated from the DL, so they may get their shortstop back with that ankle injury. Same for the Yankees. Derek Jeter cleared Thursday. He'll begin a rehab on that injured ankle that he has got no return date. And Jose Iglesias for Boston's got a 14-game hit streak, the longest by a rookie in the American League. He's hitting .449. He'll be coming in with the Red Sox for tomorrow's game. So Ryan Flaherty, the Orioles have the potential tying run in the on-deck circle. Flaherty will take the pitch up high for a ball. Jepson working behind the hitters here in this 8th inning.
And with Taylor Teagarden on deck, I don't think that there isn't somebody that's getting loose in that Oriole runway or in the dugout.
Here's the 1-0 delivery. Jepson falls behind. 2-0 count. Remember, Matt Wieters is on the bench, not playing today.
Yeah. You can see Ryan looking down at Bobby Dickerson. Am I taking here? And even if you're not taking, make it be a strike.
Flaherty 2-0. Dickerson off second. 8-5 Angels lead. And that is there for a strike 2-1 from Jepson. Flaherty getting his first look at the right-hander, 28 years old. Dickerson getting a big secondary lead. Nobody trying to hold him close. 2-1 delivery. Flaherty a chopper to second base. Kendrick will play it and record the out. So the Orioles will pick up a run on a hit and an error. The run will be unearned. 1 left on base. The Orioles make it an 8-5 game going to the ninth. Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. The Jim Power, I'm Gary Thorne. Beautiful summer day here in the Baltimore area. The temperature up in the upper 80s. And Brian Mattis will come on to do the pitching in the ninth.
You can see those numbers. ERA inflated. He had 8 scoreless appearances. Really from May almost to the end of June, or to the end of May, and then over the last 7 starts, 6 runs. So 3 of them in his last start. Worked a little bit on the side of getting the arm out in front. So talked about the bullpen struggling, a big important part of it. And when the Red Sox are coming in, this is your matchup guy that got David Ortiz's name all over him.
So the ninth inning. And the Angels go back to the top of the order. Mike Trout 0 for 4 in the game. Couple of hits and 12 at bats in the series. Both home runs. He'll lead it off. Angels 11 hits. The Orioles have 10. And the pitch to him is taken for a strike. For Trout, 306 against left-handers, 302 against righties starting the day. He's got 12 home runs, 42 runs batted in. Good road average, 319 on the road, 9th best in the league. And the pitch is away for a ball. 1 ball, 1 strike count on Trout. Brian Mattis with a 1-1 delivery to him. And 1-2.
Well, that's what kind of talking. He said, I kind of lost my changeup. Well, he didn't lose that one. Back-to-back changeup. First one not very good. It's a touch and feel pitch, especially when you come out of the bullpen. And then when we see Brian at his best, he can pitch to both sides of the plate. And that changeup away to righties allows him to do that.
And the 1-2 delivery on the way will be fisted to right. Markakis back. Ball traveling to the corner wall. Nice catch. Ball just kept going on him, and he kept going with it.
Yeah. And Trout hit that home run on Monday. They thought it was a fly ball and ended up over the scoreboard. But this is why you're a Gold Glover. You stay with it. I mean, it just seems like he hits a nice fly ball, and there is some wind here at Camden Yards today, and the ball just keeps going. And we're talking glare, we're talking sun, and then knows the ballpark that brace yourself. And see how outfielders can hurt their shoulders and wrists, even if the walls are padded.
Here is Mark Trumbo getting his first at bat. Trumbo will foul that one back. He came on as a defensive replacement. Now batting second in the order. So Trumbo up with 1 down, nobody on. He had a 0 for 4 in the ball game last night. He's 1 for 7 in the series. 264 on the year. And Trumbo, 233 off left-handers, has had 6 home runs off the lefties. That'll go to short. Hardy. Long stretch, and he didn't get back on the bag. Pulled Davis off the bag, and he could not get that toe on. That'll be an error on Hardy.
Yeah, hardly ever see this. The Gold Glover 2012. Another good changeup. Ball just sails a little bit. Try to four-seam it. Try to find the seam. I imagine, I haven't played shortstop at the major league level, but trying to find that seam and also make the throw, not always easy to do.
6th error charged on Hardy, the Orioles' 2nd error of the ball game. That will bring up Albert Pujols, a home run in the 7th inning. 11 on the year, 40 RBIs. He got 2 of them on that homer. Pujols 2 for 4 in the game. He's hit now in 4 straight. Hitting at 246.
Well, what we saw, that first base hit and back in the 6th. Jason Hamill got him out with a couple of breaking balls. Good ones early on. One for the double play. But he starts hitting the ball straight away. He's a dangerous hitter. I once asked Mark McGuire when he was a hitting coach with the Cardinals, he said, why do you ever pitch to him? He said, well, I'll tell you why. You throw a ball 4 inches off the outside corner. He hits it over the right center field fence. And you go, how did he do that? That's how good a hitter he was and is when he's healthy.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Runner off first base. Went for the long ball right there. 1 and 2. Against the left-handers, he's had 2 of his home runs, hitting 175 against lefties.
That was a ferocious swing.
If your body didn't hurt before, it'll hurt after. 1 down, runner on, 1-2. Brian Mattis delivers to him. Pujols takes it. Two ball, 2 strike count. Angels trying to add to their 3-run lead in the top of the 9th inning. Mattis a look to first on the 2-2. Pujols rips that one. That's going to go into the corner. Making the turn, Trumbo into third base. He will be held up there by Ebel, and into second base with a double. Pujols, and he's got a 2-bagger, and with 1 away, 2 in scoring position.
Well, I don't think he's going to get the hit again. Orioles certainly hope so, but well, he's going to get pinch run for. But single, double, home run. Brendan Harris started at third base last night. Will come in, so a nice little afternoon. Last 3 at bats, and this is just a change up that he drills over the head of Manny Machado. That's the way to hit him when you can't run. And he just kind of trotted into second.
So that will bring up Josh Hamilton. First base open, but you got Kendrick on deck.
And I think Buck's saying, where are we going to play with runners at second and third, down by 3 here in the top of the 9th.
They're going to move in.
Yeah.
Lead runner Trumbo. Harris on at second base. 1 down, infield in. And that will be fouled back by Hamilton. Hamilton, a 1 for 4, has picked up a single and a run scored. Hamilton looking for a couple of RBIs on a base hit right here.
Well, that's one of the more amazing numbers in baseball. 125 runners in scoring position.
And he'll foul that one away. Well, his number's so far down. When he was swinging the bat 2008 to 2012, he drove in on average 307 runs before the All-Star break. 3rd most in the majors. This year he's 150th.
He had, what, 27 home runs going into the All-Star break last year.
0-2 delivery to him, and a towering fly ball that'll get 1 run in. Markakis in right, tagging up at third is Trumbo. Throw is going to come into third base. They'll let it go. It won't be there in time. So an RBI for Hamilton, and a big run to get that lead back up to 4 here in the 9th inning.
Well, it really is. And you know, for Brian Mattis, the error, and then the change up to Pujols hits for the double. But That curveball not where he wanted it. When you get against a guy that's struggling like Josh Hamilton, if you can make your quality pitch versus the one that stays in the middle of the plate, big difference. Takes advantage of the curveball up, and now they're going to walk Kendrick. That's how hot he's been.
Kendrick 2 doubles in the ball game at 2 for 4. Patton worked an inning in the third for the Orioles, gave up 1 hit, struck out 4. Pedro Strop worked a third of an inning, gave up 4 runs, 3 hits with a walk. He's the pitcher of record. The Orioles starter Jason Hamill, 4 runs, 7 hits over 6 innings with 2 walks and a strikeout. Jerome Williams is the pitcher of record, the starter for the Angels. 4 runs, 9 hits over 6 innings, only 1 intentional pass, 4 strikeouts. De La Rosa worked an inning with a strikeout. Jepson on in the last inning. Take a look at the update on the voting for the AT&T Player of the Game. Right now, Adam Jones on top. Your voice can still be heard. Text in your vote, A, B, or C. 31826 results on the O's Extra Post Game Show. Alberto Callaspo, 2 down, runners at first and third. Callaspo a single and a run scored. 1 for 4 in the ball game. Ryan Mattis with 2 away. Will miss down low with it for a ball. Callaspo 229 off the lefties with a couple of his 4 home runs off left-handers. A lot of base runners in this ball game, much different than the first 2 games. Dominated by pitching and defense. This one has been about the offenses. And we told you in day games these teams are 1 and 2 in runs scored, and they're living up to those numbers here in this day game. Callaspo 2-0 count. Harris off third. Kendrick off first. And the pitch misses. So after the intentional walk to get to Callaspo, Ryan Mattis falls behind 3-0. Peter Board just waiting on deck. And the strike as Callaspo did the first base lean. And the elastic pulled him back, 3-1. Three-1 delivery down to third. Fair ball. Manny Machado. Great arm. And he gets the out. But a run will score on 1 hit. 2 are left on base. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Do as they get a look at Frieri.
Yeah, hard throwing righty. You can see 14 out of 15, not a safe situation because it's a 4-run lead, but he just needs 3 outs before the Orioles get 4 runs. So the left, he's got the lowest batting average in the American League, only 5 for 47. And That's 106. The righty's doing a little bit better at 277. It's like Matt Wieters is going to pinch hit for Taylor Teagarden, so you got the lefty righty matchup. Friere, as we mentioned, did come over from the Diamondbacks last year. Hard thrower. He throws 94 to 96. A lot of movement on his fastballs. Well, you know what you're going to get. Can you hit it? That'll be the question.
Angels looking to avoid the sweep. Matt Wieters announced as the pinch hitter in this case for Teagarden. Wieters as a pinch hitter, 0 for 2. Matt's hitting .227 left-handed, .274 right-handed. 5 of his 8 home runs from this side of the plate. Wieters, McLeod, and Machado due up against Friere. We are in the bottom of the 9th inning, and the Angels on top 9-5. Angels have 12 hits in the game. It is not a season high for them, though. They've had 15 hits twice. Once against Seattle, once against Oakland. Wieters at 241 overall. Outfield deep on him. Little breeze blowing out to left field here in the bottom of the 9th. 1-0 delivery, and that's there for a strike. Friere, 1-1. Orioles to have their 11-5 record against the West tested in this one. Here's the 1-1 delivery, and that will be foul back.
And I kind of inadvertently, I thought he had, I don't know why I confused San Diego with the Diamondbacks, but he came over from the Padres where he had actually had some success. He's one of those guys that always, and when you have a power arm, maybe walked a little bit more than they'd like. Never ever a closer, always a setup guy until the Angels got him.
And Wieters is gone.
No, that's how he makes his living. A lot of late movement. 94 with late run, and Matt swings through it. Watch this ball explode. A riding fastball, a little Jonathan Papelbon.
This is the last game these teams will play in the regular season against one another. Orioles winning the season series one way or the other. They're 5-1 against them, having won only 2 games in 9 last year against the Angels. And the pitch taken up high. Nate McLeod, 2 singles, 2 for 4 in the ball game for Nate. His average now at .290 on the year. 2 managers. Buck Showalter's team in contention. Mike Scioscia's team, a lot of work to do.
Yep, they really do. And well, the work the Orioles have, I was looking through the game logs. Last 31 games, 17 times they have given up 6 runs or more. That's a bunch of runs, which is why the ERA is the 14th out of 15 teams. That's got to change.
Yep.
I mean, collectively. Starting pitching has been a little bit better as of late, with a couple of exceptions. But what they did so well last year is the starters that over the last 50 games, they did their job, and the bullpen was shut down type of bullpen. You got to get back closer to there, especially with playing the Red Sox and the Tigers.
Yeah, with all this offense in the East alone. The Orioles starters are 12th in ERA. The bullpen is 10th, and overall the Orioles are second highest at 4.49 in the American League. Their offense has carried them.
Yeah, that and the defense. You know, this would, you'd think when you look around on a day-to-day basis, and when you look at the Oriole defense, you say, what a pleasure to pitch for this team. Now, the ballpark's a little different story. I mean, this is a hitter's park, but I think the pitchers will tell you they can be better than they've been.
2 ball, 2 strike count. That ball in the air to center field. Borges. 2 down in the 9th. McLeod's retired. So Williams, Jerome Williams, could be the winner. He'd be 5-2, 4-1 lifetime against the Orioles if he gets it. Pedro Strop would take the loss, 0-3 on the year. This is not, as Jim said, a safe situation for Friere. He's getting his work in.
Yeah, they got an off day tomorrow, so they'll embrace that as they fly west. As you mentioned, they will play the Yankees over the weekend, and so this is just a little tune-up.
Manny Machado at the plate, 2 down, nobody on. Manny with a double and a single. 2 for 4 in the ball game. Has a 10-game hit streak. Hitting at .318 on the season. And he'll foul that one back into the screen. 0-2. $14 runs, 22 hits combined so far in this game. But the Angels were the better of it. 0-2 delivery by Frieri. It'll be a little bit up high and away. 1-2. Orioles record here at home will go to 17-14 on the year, while the Angels will pick up their 13th win on the road, 13-20. 1 ball, 2 strike count. Set up outside, 1-2 delivery, and that's where the pitch is. 2-2.
Yeah, Hank Conner, it's hard to miss that target. Maybe moved a little bit early, but
Machado waiting on the 2-2, and again back into the screen, holds the count. 4 on the scoreboard just looks a differential of 4 runs. Just looks so much bigger than 3
well,
for some reason. It just.
Well, that's what they say. They always say, that's what you want to do. You want to get that 4-run lead. Get you into Grand Slam territory, I suppose. But how many Grand Slams are hit in the course of a season?
2-2 delivery on the way. Machado will pop that one up first base. Trumbo in foul territory, and this ball game is over. Orioles are retired in order in the 9th inning, and the Angels come away with a 9-5 win and avoid being swept. The Orioles 37-29.